In this last scan, it has really pulled apart just a little bit. We don't see a well-defined curve there at this point near Bird Eye, Forkland, along Highway 43. And I've actually noticed it pulling a little bit to the north, which would mean Casemore, you're really going to sit on the southern side of this at this point. Same with Arcola, you're getting some moderate rainfall in Arcola up towards Casemore. You're seeing some moderate to heavy rainfall. Same with Cedarville. Greensboro, your rain has just started to pick up. But what is happening, you see this large area of red and orange out ahead of this. Well, that would indicate that this is kind of the overshooting of the front of this storm system. So you have the wind and the rain, and essentially the strength of the storm is spraying rain out ahead of it. And what that's going to do, for some, it could stabilize the atmosphere just a little bit, but we're really starting to see the back edge of that storm kind of dwindle in its intensity ever so slightly. The warning will still remain, though, so keep that in mind. We definitely want to make sure that we keep our guard up for that one. We don't want to let our guard down for that particular storm system. So we're watching that very closely. And Sarah, do you have your mic on?
Yes, I do.
I was going to see, what's the latest from the National Weather Service on this storm?
The last update we got was about 7 minutes ago, and they just continued the warning for Greene and Hale counties here. But they also wanted to let folks know in not only Bibb, but also Shelby County, that this is the cell that is going to be tracking towards Shelby County. And if we look at the big picture here, we can see all the rain that's moving through Tuscaloosa right now. That is still behind this cell. Now, if we saw all that rain ahead of this tornado warning, that could help to kind of weaken things just a bit, and that cell could get kind of cut off from all the instability in the air if we did see that rainfall well ahead of the storm. Well, we're not seeing that right now. We're seeing this storm actually moving around 40 miles per hour, so it's moving quicker than the rainfall that's back through West Alabama and into Tuscaloosa right now. So this cell that is likely producing a large and dangerous tornado, or at least it did just about a half an hour ago through Demopolis and back into Sumter and Marengo counties. This same cell is going to be racing up to the north and east out ahead of that area of rainfall. So is it going to hold together until it gets to Shelby County? It's possible. So we want folks to be aware, not only through Bibb County but also Shelby County, that this could track your way. So we are by no means done with the severe weather threat. While things are looking good for folks in Marion County and farther into West Alabama, we are not done with the severe weather threat through Birmingham as well as Shelby County into Bibb and also Chilton County. So the National Weather Service did just release an update that the circulation is starting to weaken just a bit. So that is good news for folks in Greensboro, because this is tracking over Forkland right now where we saw the weather alert unit. But for folks in Greensboro, you should still be in your safe place, because what we see with these storms is we can see the area of rotation kind of broaden out just a bit and then tighten back up. So that is definitely a possibility, even though the National Weather Service, and as Ashley was showing us, you can see the area of rotation starting to weaken just a bit, but we can't let our guard down because it is still possible that it starts to tighten up just again. We're still seeing pretty significant lightning. The warning that is for the Demopolis area right now, that still is in place, but this one will expire here in the next 3 minutes. That will obviously not be reissued for Demopolis, but we're going to see this warning that does go until 9:15 for Greene in the southern portion of Greene County and then much of Hale County. And then for folks that are towards Brent, you guys will be next if this does hold together and continues to track into Bibb County. And then from there it will be into Shelby County towards Montevallo up through Alabaster possibly. We're still over an hour away from that potentially happening, possibly even 2 hours. So we need everyone to stay on guard through at least 10:30 with this particular storm.
Thanks, Sarah. And to your very point, talking about it moving through Bibb and then into Shelby County, these storms have really they've slowed down. They've kind of put on the brakes, and they were back in Mississippi. They hit some friction, and now for us, the sun is set. This is actually very good news. Some of the key dynamics that would normally be in place late afternoon or during the heat of the day just don't exist overnight. We've also had some rain to our west. That's created some outflow boundaries, cooled things off just a little bit. So our atmosphere ahead of this is actually beginning to stabilize ever so slightly, but you'll notice by the county counties there highlighted in yellow. We're not letting our guard down just yet. Tornado watches still exist. That means conditions are still favorable for tornado development. So we want just to bring your attention to northern Perry, Bibb, and Shelby County. If you live in northern Perry, anywhere through central Bibb County, and then especially west Shelby County, I would just go ahead and start making your way to a comfortable place inside, and then just be poised to get those weather alerts. So if you need to take immediate action, you can. This is a time, if you happen to be out running errands, you're watching us on a live stream somewhere, that, hey, let's pack it up, let's go ahead and head home. Again, you've got a little time to get there unless you live in Hale County. As we've mentioned before, we've kind of relaxed a little bit on the circulation back towards. However, as we put the velocity on, you can still see a very good couplet there. We do have, as Sarah mentioned before, an observed tornado. So we do have confirmation of that tornado on the ground near Arcola, and that was just outside of Demopolis. And now we're looking, I mean, this very well could still be a tornado on the ground heading straight towards Greensboro. So if you live in Greensboro, you need to seek shelter immediately. This has been a longer track tornado. I think it's had some times where it's come off the ground and lowered and come back up. I think what we're going to find tomorrow upon daylight, and we have folks and survey crews go out and track this, I think what we're going to see is the track of this storm probably started back in Mississippi, and it's literally had its ups and downs since it left Mississippi. We're also beginning to notice the back end of this storm system producing severe thunderstorm warnings for Choctaw County and back into Mississippi. We're going to let those ride for just a minute. It's severe thunderstorm warnings, gusty winds, some possible hail, but more importantly, we want to focus our attention where we would see that center of circulation. We're noticing that inflow notch becoming a little bit greater right now. Sarah?
Ashley, just want to update you from the Marengo County EMA director that we do have 1 home damage west of Demopolis. Also, 3 injuries have been reported in Marengo County. That is according to the EMA director. That's the latest update we're getting from the National Weather Service. Just chatter in there. So this storm likely already produced at least 3, or resulted in at least 3 injuries already, and at least 1 home damage just west of Demopolis. So we may want our crews to go check out that area, because unfortunately we are getting damage reports there. And then back into Sumter County and Choctaw County, we're also seeing reports of trees down and power lines down. So for folks in possibly just south of Livingston back through York and into Choctaw County, power is likely out for many because of this storm that is now a tornado warned storm through Hale County. So that's the latest update from the National Weather Service. So far, this warning is still in place, and it is going to last until 9:15 for Hale County, and then we could see this extend into Bibb County, because Ashley was showing you that rotation center is starting to tighten just a bit. So not something to let our guard down just yet for folks in Greensboro. If you live in a mobile home or manufactured housing through Hale County, you need to be in a shelter right now and not in a mobile home, because this storm has already produced damage and possibly even 3 injuries being reported in Marengo County. Ashley?
Yeah, Sarah, let's put our storm tracks on if we can. This storm looks to be circulating near the town of Port Royal in Millwood. This is heading north-northeast towards Brush Creek and Dominic there. Here's the track of this storm currently as I'm taking a closer look, kind of analyzing where we're seeing this. Sarah, zoom in. You can see that notch just in that last 2 scans. Look how well defined this notch is. This is cause for concern, and this is also some cause for some quick action on your part. If you can hear our voice right now, you don't have to see me. If you hear my voice and you live in Greensboro, if you live in Melton, if you live in Millwood, you need to get to your safe spot immediately. Rosemary, you're included in that. Dominic, get to your safe place. I'm talking to community of Brush Creek and anyone living in Morgan Spirits there. Please get to your safe place immediately. I'm starting to see the lightning count increase. That means the storm is re-intensifying. The inflow notch is very evident of circulation. We have rotation. There is no doubt that we have rotation. Remember just a few scans ago, I said, hey, it was relaxing just a bit. That circulation has shown back up. That's exactly what we're going to notice with this storm, I think, as it continues to march forward. Keep in mind, Bibb County, you haven't seen any activity today. Shelby County, you have been void of activity today. That means your atmosphere is completely untouched. Even though the sun has set, and I mentioned before, some of those dynamics have gone down slightly, you still have a lot of untapped energy in the atmosphere. So as this storm is tracking along to the north and to the east, it's literally feeding off of that warm, wet air. Look at these severe weather tracks. All right, so these are our threats, okay? When we talk about the yellows and the red, that's when we're looking at the shear. Shear is just a fancy word for wind, very intense wind. So when we're in this red to yellow scale, that's very intense wind. When we're looking at the purple, we could be looking at some of those hailstones. Hail, we just showed you that. Remember when we bisected our storm, we looked at the scan of the atmosphere. We actually saw some hailstones forming, so there's likely hail. You've got the gusty winds, you've got significant lightning, and this is all tracking to the northeast, diving deeper into Hale County. Next up will be Bibb County and then on into Shelby County. This storm system has history. We already have had confirmation that this storm has produced a tornado from Mississippi and even into Alabama. Right now it's tracking north-northeast at around 45 miles per hour, so it's a fairly fast moving system, and we're starting to get some new information in right now. So this tornado warning, now it's saying an observed tornado, confirmed tornado, is located over Duffy's Bend. This is about 8 miles southwest of Greensboro, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. Duffy's Bend, get to your safe place, Greensboro. If you can hear me and you live in these cities, let me repeat: Rosemary, Greensboro, Brush Creek, get to your safe place right now. Looking at our time clock here, so Greensboro, you've got 14 minutes. I would give it 10. All right, you have Rosemary in about 14 minutes. Again, if you see anything less than 15 minutes, let's err on the side of caution. You've got 10 minutes until the storm reaches you. Even if you live in a mobile home or manufactured housing and you can get to a neighbor's house that is a brick building, I would urge you to do that. This is very important because this could be life-saving if you just get yourself to a sturdy structure. Most sturdy structures will be able to withstand this kind of damaging wind, but this is going to be a big storm. We're looking live from our Storm Team weather unit. They're on the backside of this storm, so they're actually in a safe place, but they are watching this lightning just intensify. It is lighting up the night sky right now. Again, a very well-defined factor when we are looking at the severity of these storms. And when we talk about tornadoes developing, lightning is a byproduct a lot of times of these tornadic storms. Well-defined inflow. We've got the backside of this storm, and now that is moving closer towards Millwood. This storm has crossed over. It's on top of the city of Millwood right now. I hope that you're in your safe spot as we speak. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Maybe this is the first time you faced a storm like this. Stay away from windows. Don't try to chase the storm. It's dark. It's rural, it's a wooded area. You can't see anything, I promise. Plus, these storms are completely rain wrapped. That's going to really limit your eyesight, your line of sight to these storms. You're not going to see what I call like a classic Midwestern storm or a classic Great Plains storm. This is not a typical tornado. All right, as far as visually what we would see in Alabama, very different. All right, those lightning strikes starting to emerge outside of Greensboro. That's showing me that that's exactly where the path of least resistance is. This is going to take aim on Greensboro up towards Harper Hill. So let's look at our track here. Harper Hill, now 22 minutes. We've gone down to about 12 minutes in Rosemary and Greensboro. We'll leave up our track times right now because these cities, we're encroaching on them very quickly, and these are our more populated cities right here in Greensboro and Rosemary. And if you live in the city of Duncanville, Mertz, all the way towards Brent, you need to get to your safe place right now as the storm is tracking off to the north and to the east. Let's quickly put on our velocity product just to see if we can see, because again, there's that notch. And then we can see, look at this. This is called a bounded weak ecoregion. That is super fancy. That is weather talk right now, but that is showing me that there is actually, this is creating a hole in the atmosphere where the backside of this storm has wrapped completely around and created this small hole. We can take the watches off really quick and we can actually see that a little bit better, but the yellow kind of makes it, that little hole punch kind of stand out just a little bit for us, so you could see that. But the yellow indicates those are the watches. It doesn't have anything to to do with our radar right now. So again, we're tracking that center of circulation, but it's really the backside. It's what's right behind it where we're going to see that area of rotation. And that rotating storm is moving northeast towards Brush Creek. It's heading towards Greensboro. It's going to continue on towards Brent. So again, off to the northeast at this time. Rosemary, I would still get to your safe place. You're going to be a little bit outside of this. Better safe than sorry, especially with these storms. We call them right movers. If this storm begins to intensify, it can start veering right, which means some of these towns that are on the southern side of Greensboro could be impacted by this. So continue to play it safe. If you're in Hale County right now, you might be hearing those tornado warnings going off, the sirens going off. That's because a tornado warned storm is moving through a very well-defined inflow notch. We've got heavy rain on the backside. So what's happening is you have wind that comes in this inflow notch. It wraps back around, and this is where the actual tornado would be developing. This is taking aim at Greensboro right now. If you are in Greensboro, please get to your safe place immediately. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have young children, grab helmets, protect their head. You want to make sure you've got shoes on your feet in the event that there is debris in and around your house after this passes. You want to make sure that those feet are covered. Please make sure to play it safe here. Beginning to broaden out in our last scan, we just saw that, but we still want to make sure that folks are playing it safe. We do not want to let our guard down. The storm has history, as we've talked about before. Let's go back to Sarah. The warning is, let's see if there's new information on the warning and any new information about any damage that we're seeing. Sarah?
Yeah, Ashley, so this obviously started as a tornado warned storm in Mississippi, and then we saw the warnings extending into Demopolis. And now that this has cleared Demopolis, we're starting to get the damage reports from Demopolis, where the EMA director in Marengo County is reporting 3 injuries in the county, as well as 1 home damaged, at least 1 home damaged west of Demopolis. We also have an 18-wheeler that was overturned by those strong winds at 57 in US 80, which is west of Demopolis. So this is right in line with the same storm that we're tracking now, produced all this damage in Demopolis. So folks in Greensboro, this is moving over you right now. This will track through Brush Creek and then into Bibb County. So this storm, while it is only being warned for right now in Hale County, this could be extended as we continue to see this storm track into Bibb County and then from Shelby County after that, I would say within the next 2 hours, if this holds together. We've seen this storm kind of weaken and then re-strengthen like we were seeing before, so we could see a tornado, but kind of touching down, lifting back up, and then touching back down. This was a storm that was, the National Weather Service was describing this tornado as large and extremely dangerous, so something we need to be watching very closely in a very dangerous situation, as it's still a very heavy rainfall through Demopolis right now, but crews are out trying to survey the damage and get a gauge on all the damage that they're likely going to be seeing in Marengo County. Even back through Sumter and Choctaw County, we have reports of power lines down as right along the county line, and also as well as trees down in the area of Sumter and Choctaw County, same storm that we're tracking right now. So right now this is over Greensboro. Some of the areas to be impacted will be Ingram in the next 21 minutes, Hoglesville in the next 22, Phipps in the next 28 minutes as well. So multiple reports. There's also just a report came in that some of the damage was in the Saltwell community in Marengo County. So that's the area near Demopolis where we're seeing the reports of some heavy damage right now. 3 injuries reported in Marengo County as well, and we're likely going to see same sort of thing with injury, or not definitely injuries, but damage at least reported through Hale County as well, because this storm has been pretty impressively holding together over the last 40 minutes here all the way back through Mississippi. I'm zooming out a little bit so you can see some of the damage reports. These cells that were moving out of Mississippi not only had multiple tornado warnings on them, we also had hail reports and also wind damage with these storms that went all the way back from Hattiesburg through Columbia, Mississippi, south and east of Jackson here, and then just south of Meridian. We've had multiple damage reports in, as well as hail reports and wind reports there. For folks in Tuscaloosa County, this storm is ahead of you and not going to impact Tuscaloosa County right now. There is just heavy rainfall and some flashes of lightning there. I'll send it back to you, Ashley, on the wall to give the latest on the warning.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. Just want to kind of track people through this as I've been observing the area of velocity, and I've been observing the area where the most intense part of this storm is right now. It looks like if we put velocity back on, just to the west of the city of Greensboro is where we're going to see this area of rotation. So this is this little gap that we see here. So zooming in, we can zoom all the way almost down to street level there. There we go. Between Melton and Greensboro, this is where the rotation is going to be happening. This is heading just towards downtown Greensboro. So if you're familiar with the geography here, essentially between Melton and Greensboro is where this storm is tracking. You can see the cursor on the screen. Just follow that up, just a few little pixels there, and you can actually see that's exactly where we are going to be tracking this area of rotation. All right, let's name off some roads here, because if you are in this area, you want to seek shelter immediately. And so if you are familiar with State Route 69, this travels you right through downtown Greensboro along with County Road 28. Get to your safe place now. Extending off to the northeast, because this storm is going to be tracking pretty much along State Route 69 there. If you're also along State Route 25, this extends north out of Greensboro and County Road 33. So where those roads come out of downtown's Greensboro, get to your safe place immediately. This will continue tracking to the north and to the east. This is perfect because our storm team radar is picking up on that well-defined inflow notch, as we call it. What happens, it is building up that updraft, and then that storm is wrapping back around. So this is exactly where that rotation would be taking place. County Road 28, State Road 14, if you live on Raven Road, State Route 69, State Route 25, and again, State Route 25 really pretty much all the way out of Hale County. I would say this storm is going to be riding right along State Route 25 and State Route 69. They do kind of spread apart towards the northern part of the county. So at that point, I would say kind of bear towards the east on that one, towards the city of Dominic, and that's where you're going to see some heavier rainfall right now. If you're in Dominic, that rain is falling, but you're actually going to have a bit of a calm or a break in the rain, and then that rain is going to intensify again, and that's where that area of rotation would likely be. We have a live look in Tuscaloosa right now. This is actually a newly opened storm shelter. It opened today. It was the anniversary of a major tornado. So thankful that the folks in Tuscaloosa have opened up that storm shelter. And boy, this storm is getting ever so close to Tuscaloosa. I still think it's going to sag just slightly south of I-20. So this particular storm, I do not think will make its way towards Tuscaloosa, but it's something we're watching very closely. Where I'm a bit concerned, if you live in Bibb County, I would go ahead and start taking those proper precautions. But this could actually clip the southeast edge of Tuscaloosa, really riding that county line between Tuscaloosa and Bibb County as it continues to pull off to the north and to the east. I still think Shelby County, you need to go ahead and start making those plans. Just get inside, okay? You've got a little time. There's probably 45 minutes or so before we're looking at this, maybe even upwards of an hour. This storm is really slowed down, but still moving at about 45 miles per hour. So just to track that, if we tracked this at 45 miles per hour, we'll kind of show you where that ends you. So that's going to end you in Bibb County in about 45 minutes. It puts you right close to that Shelby County line there. So that just gives you an idea who could be impacted within the next hour. Again, this is going from Hale County through Bibb County and then getting very close to Shelby and Jefferson County. At this point, you've got some time, as I'm trying to tell you. So if you live in Shelby County, go ahead and take those plans seriously and go ahead and start putting them into action. This is kind of what I would call the gap between the watch and the warning. This is giving you some action to take in a longer amount of time before that warning is actually imminent. So it's imminent though for those in Hale County. So let's zoom back in. I'm noticing here that the velocity product is really showing some impressive signs of rotation, and we can still see a very well-defined couplet here in Greensboro. So we're looking for that light green and that dark green. So we can zoom all the way back into Greensboro and we can get back down to street level. We want to make sure that we give people enough warn time here, and we're going to start naming off some of these roads. If you're just now joining us, we have severe weather that is impacting portions of our viewing area to the southwest. Hale County is now under a tornado warning. The live video that you're watching next to us, some of that coming from our weather alert unit. They've been in Greene County and Forkland, now moving into Hale County, and you can see some flashing lights off in the distance there. The rain has slacked just a little bit, not seeing quite as much lightning, and we're toggling between that video and we're also toggling between the live view from the Tuscaloosa storm shelter that just opened today. So here's a look back at Greensboro. This is where we're tracking that velocity. So again, you have two different colors essentially, and the darker one color and the brighter the other. That indicates that area of rotation. So it's moving through downtown. Wow, that lightning was really impressive that we just saw on our weather alert unit there. This is tracking off to the northeast, and if you have coordinates for Griffin and where he's located, so this is actually Demopolis. So this storm just moved through Demopolis. As I mentioned before, our weather alert unit is in a safe place. We locate them behind the storm, so they are going to be following that storm through. We don't want to put them in front in danger's way, but you can get some really impressive views of lightning on the backside because you're looking towards that storm, and that lightning intensifies as the storm. You can actually see right here where we're really seeing those two differentiating colors. That indicates to me we have a pretty broad area of circulation at this point, and this is tracking off to the northeast. Again, if you live in the city of Dominic, get to your safe place right now. State Route 69 and 25. So we want to make sure if you're on State Route 25, get to your safe place. If you live in Brush Creek, get to your safe place. It looks like we could possibly see this extended into Bibb County here soon. Not so much the case right now, but again, a very well-defined notch here. This is something that we look for as meteorologists. I'm analyzing this map with every single view, and we're watching this notch. So what does that mean to you sitting at home? Well, wind is racing into the storm right here. This is essentially, think of it as the front door, and that wind is racing into that house right there. But what happens next is with that wind racing into that notch, it's lifting upwards. It's creating a significant updraft, and then that updraft spins, and that's where the rotation begins to form. So at different layers of the atmosphere, we have wind moving at different directions, ultimately creates the rotation. That drops to the ground, and we go from having a funnel cloud to a tornado. So that's a quick tornado science for you, but this is moving through Greensboro, heading towards Dominic at this time, and then on into Bibb County. Here's what we could see. Perry County could be warned for, the very northern tip of Perry County. I've been here north of Marion, very rural part of the state. And again, this is where we have a lot of folks that farmers. We have a lot of rural area here. If you live in manufactured housing, please try to seek some sturdy shelter. Brick building. We're not asking you to find an actual shelter as it exists like we saw in Tuscaloosa. We're just asking you to get to a sturdier structure, something that's anchored to the ground. So that would be most desirable right now. We actually are going to be joining with Griffin Hardy, and he is in our weather alert unit right now. So Griffin, tell us what you've been watching over the last several minutes.
So we were coming in, Ashley, from the north side of this storm, and it was tracking through just to the southwest of Demopolis. And now we're in downtown Demopolis, and let me show you a look of what it looks like outside here. It's just been blinding rain on the way in. I was a little bit nervous coming in, actually, because this storm is essentially going to pass right over downtown Demopolis. So we got to Forkland, and I said, okay, we need to stop for a minute, let this thing pass before we come into downtown Demopolis. Still a lot of really heavy rain, basically non-stop lightning that's been coming in with this thunderstorm, and obviously still potentially a rotation signature that's crossing through downtown Greensboro right now. So our main goal right now is to kind of scan the area and see if we can see any tornado damage. I will tell you, back to the north on Highway 43, there's a lot of pine straw that was littered all over the roads. You could almost smell the pine. I'm not even exaggerating. You could get a whiff of the pine that was coming through the AC units as we were coming through. I didn't see any big trees down. We're going to keep looking around for that, but it certainly seems to be a possibility with this storm that has now made its way from Demopolis up towards Greensboro right now. So obviously the main concern is turning our attention up to that storm up towards Greensboro. So Ashley, I'll go ahead and toss it back to you so we can get a look at what's happening exactly right now on radar.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Griffin. We are going to continue tracking this storm. Just connected with the National Weather Service, and they said right now they're going to hold off just a little bit on extending this warning into northern Perry and Bibb County. But we've seen this a number of times today and this evening where signs aren't pointing towards a tornado immediately, but it could re-intensify. So what I've mentioned before, it seems as though this particular storm has had history of kind of lifting off the ground, then settling back down, then lifting back up again. So right now that rotation has broadened out. We're also noticing that the lightning, whereas there is a lot of it, it's not as tight around that center of circulation as it was. That lightning has broadened out just a little bit. So that's good news there. All right, let's go over to Pickens County. This is one area that the National Weather Service said it's going to be looking at just to the west of Tuscaloosa there, Aliceville. So not seeing a whole lot on our radar. It looks like kind of just a wet mess at this point. A lot of rain covering portions of West Alabama. But the National Weather Service said it has its eye on a possible area of rotation in Pickens County. Nothing warned for just yet, but did want to give you a heads up on that. So as we kind of look at the map here, we are noticing some lightning again towards northeast Hale County and that heavier rainfall that we are tracking. So kind of zooming out and really quickly, I will put our velocity product on here so we can get a little bit better view of kind of what we're seeing. So here's our velocity product that we're looking at. So this is called storm relative velocity. So the velocity has gone down quite a bit in Greensboro, so that's good. And then as we're looking at our wind tracker, what I want to show you here with our wind tracker really quickly is notice this path that it's taken. See these light green lines and then these darker maroon looking lines? This is an in-house product that we have so we can track where that severe wind has been, and likely where it's a darker color, it's very strong. So we're likely seeing some of those strong winds as a result of that tornado. But notice how it's not one continuous line of maroon, but you kind of have little sections or little lines within. So that would also indicate that this storm system has kind of picked up and dropped down potentially, and that's extending into the northeast edge of Hale County right now. And so we're just tracking that as it continues its move off to the northeast. It's moving right now at about 45 miles per hour. And as we look at our velocity, I'm still very concerned with a rotation as it's heading towards Dominic there. I can zoom in and you can see a very well-defined couplet. So this is, I'm going to leave this on because it's a little easier when you look at our wind velocity product. I know it's some fancy wording here, but this is where that couplet is. So again, this is along County Road 3. Get to your safe place right now. This continues to track towards the city of Dominic. We had mentioned this several moments ago. Hopefully, if you heard our voice in the city of Dominic, you have already gotten to your safe place. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get to the lowest floor of your home. It doesn't have to be a basement, just the lowest floor. And we want to make sure that we continue to track this. This is going to be moving off to the north and northeast, so County Road 4 there. And as we said, it was kind of riding along State Route 25. This continues off to the north-northeast. And then we also have County Road 52. That's going to be a little on the outside of this, but I'm really concerned with this couplet again that we're still seeing. So this is indicative that we would be seeing some rotation there and just outside the city of Dominic. At this point, the storm system has moved east of Greensboro, but it's continuing to track off to the east, and it's going to be making its way towards Hogglesville and eventually on into Mertz, I believe. So the warning has not been extended, but I do want to go ahead and bring your attention. If you are in Bibb County, if you have this tuned in and you are watching from the city of Mertz or the city of Pondville, make sure that you are going to be getting to your safe place. Heavy rainfall too. We're seeing that live from our Marengo County weather alert unit. Still a lot of lightning showing up there. And we can actually turn our lightning tracker back on and notice how much lightning that we're seeing. And now it is starting to become a bit more concentrated. And with that concentration of lightning, that would again show that there's a little energy left over in the atmosphere. All right, let's do a quick slice of this storm system. And when we slice through it, I'm looking for a couple of things. I'm looking for hail cores, and I'm looking for the height of these storms. The higher these storms, that often indicates the strength of these storms. So each little line that you see here is 10,000 feet. So we've got 10, 20, 30. These storms are about 40 and 50,000 feet in height. They're huge, okay? You can actually see where the updraft itself is kind of tilting off to one direction. That also indicates that there's very strong winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. It's literally pushing the top of that storm, and as it does, it's twisting it, okay? So that's how the atmosphere is working right now. You've got this inflow notch, and this inflow is feeding the storm. It's going up. You see kind of this red on the side of the screen there. It's creating this updraft. This purple here, that's very intense rainfall. I'm not seeing a hail core. That generally is shown by a dark, dark purple or almost a black on our radar. Not seeing that. There's some areas that might be trying to present as hailstones, but I don't see them quite yet. There could just be a lot of rainfall with this. Not could be, there will be. So folks, please be careful. I know we're watching a Marengo County weather alert unit, but remember, we always put them in a safe place. I see a lot of other vehicles on the road. This may not be the best time to be driving. If you're in Bibb County or in Shelby County, let's go ahead and just try to get inside, because this storm is coming, and even regardless of the tornadic threat, the heavy rain can make very difficult driving conditions. So we just want to make sure that everyone plays it safe at all levels, whether it's slick spots on the roadways or whether it's the wind damage. And also, if you live in Bibb County and or Shelby County, try to batten down the hatches just a little bit. If you have anything outside, like Christmas decorations or things like that that could be loose and get blown around, either try to bring those inside or try to lay them down in a way to which they won't just get uprooted and end up down the street in your neighbor's yard. So, all right, as we're watching Storm Team Radar right now, that 3D scan, we're watching basically this strong thunderstorm producing likely a tornado. That tornado warning still exists for Hale County, so we're keeping a watchful eye on that. All right, we can go back to the radar really quickly as we, again, not going to see this storm extended, but let's go ahead and put our velocity back up. It looks like we can see this cell is definitely pulsing up again, and actually information just came in from Marengo County. Only there are several. It says the Saltwell community of Marengo County has dozens of homes damaged. So the same storm that just moved through Marengo County, the same one we told you is likely producing a long tornado, confirmed tornado near Arcola, is now moving out of Greensboro. Let's zoom in. This is, to me,
Ashley, it just got extended.
Good.
The warning has just been extended to Bibb, Hale, and Perry County.
That's wonderful news, only because that's exactly what we were kind of thinking here in our weather team. And and here's the thing, as we're communicating this to you, our only goal is to give you as much warning time as possible. We don't want to throw out false alarms, but we also want to make sure that we give you ample amount of time to get your family to safety. And that's our only goal with cutting into your broadcasting. That's our only goal with making sure that these warnings get extended. So the National Weather Service has just extended this tornado warning into Bibb County. Next up will be Shelby County. If you live anywhere from Chelsea, Alabaster, Calera, all the way towards Brent, I would get to your safe place immediately. Go ahead and start getting folks to the interior of your home. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. As we start to enter into Bibb County, we start to transition our population density. As we get closer into Shelby County and the Birmingham Metro, we really start to put a lot more neighborhoods in there. The number of people impacted is going to grow immensely as this storm continues to track off to the northeast. So we want to make sure that everyone is taking those proper precautions. Okay, there's some new updates from the National Weather Service. Sarah, I'll let you kind of update folks on what you're seeing there.
Yeah, the updates from the National Weather Service are about the damage that's being reported in Marengo County. That is actually where Griffin Hardy, I've been in contact with him. That is where they are heading right now. The Saltwell community, that is where the dozens of homes have been reported to be damaged, as well as 3 injuries reported there. Now, we've been watching this storm as it has weakened and re-strengthened, so that is why the National Weather Service is now going ahead and issuing this warning for the northern portions of Perry County and all of Bibb County. So folks in West Blockton, you guys are on the the edge of this warning, the end of this warning, so you have time right now to get into your safe place. Folks in Brent, you should already be there, and then really towards Choctaw Hills, Harrisburg, Bibb County, you guys need to be ready. And we've also been trying to give you guys enough warning as possible. So folks in Shelby County, you guys need to be ready as well, and also northern Chilton County, possibly even as far south as Jemison. So we're trying to give you guys as much heads up towards Shelby and Chilton County. That would be in about an hour to an hour and a half time frame. But the warning right now has been extended. So this is still moving at around 40 miles per hour right now. We also just got a new update just from Sumter County. So before, when these storms tracked into Demopolis, they were tracking into Sumter County. And we have reports of trees down there, several trees down in the Whitfield community along County Road 42, possibly from a tornado. So the National Weather Service will obviously be surveying all this damage in the coming days to confirm the amount of damage that we're seeing. We're going to send it over now to the desk with Jack and Sherry.
All right, Sarah, Ashley, thank you very much. The time now is 9:06 in our continuing coverage from the Storm Team Weather Center. I'm Jack Royer.
And I'm Sherry Jackson. Of course, we've been watching the storm team talk about where people should be going for safety. Our Malik Rankin is in Tuscaloosa right now, where people have taken advantage of a shelter that just opened today. Malik?
That's right, Sherry. We're here live at the Tuscaloosa Storm Shelter. You can see over my shoulder, there's over a dozen people that have been waiting for this to open. I'm joined now with Risha. She experienced the 2011 tornadoes, and you waited for hours to get in here today. Why were you so cautious?
Just very cautious because of what I went through. I never want to take my kids through it again. It was detrimental of every aspect. Doing what we had to do and walking and the process of everything, it was just something I never want to go through again.
And you saw destruction firsthand just moments ago. We were talking about, you saw TVs flying, people's clothes up in the air. Why are you taking these efforts just to make sure you don't see that firsthand again?
Because it was a scary moment. It was very surreal. Hearing the cast, Fox cast or CBS cast on the news, and you just knowing that it's coming, and they saying it's coming towards the mall and it's coming towards Alberta. It was like I was firsthand seeing it, and it was like I didn't know what was going to hit me. Was we going to die? Was we going to live? But this time I just want to be in the right place where we're supposed to be at.
Well, thank you, Risha. We'll have more from her tonight at 10. We'll be here at Tuscaloosa for the next few hours. And right now, I'll send it back to you in the studio with more information as the severe weather makes its way through Alabama.
Malik, thank you. We are not out of the woods yet. The CBS 42 storm team still tracking it.
Ashley Gann on the weather wall with more and a colorful radar picture, Ashley.
Yeah, that's right, Jack and Sherry. We are tracking just a line of thunderstorms this evening. The one that we have our eye on right now is moving out of northern Hale County. It now is going to be moving into Bibb County. The city of Brent will be under the gun here very shortly. If you live in Brent and really any portion of Bibb County, the farthest fringe, the southern edge, and the furthest northern fringe of Bibb County, okay, you're out of it. But for all intents and purposes, let's just say county-wide, one of those interesting situations where the storm just happens to line up with kind of the width of the county there. We are looking at some live video from Marengo County. I just got some news from Griffin Hardy. He texted me that they are coming up on emergency vehicles at this point, so they will get us some information as to what they're dealing with. There's likely some power lines down, power outages area-wide in that spot. Hopefully, the injury count is not too high, and hopefully this is just something blocking the roadway more than anything. But as mentioned, we will be getting that information from our storm team meteorologist, Griffin Hardy. All right, let me zoom in here to our warnings. I will leave our warning boxes up. These are the red polygons that you see here. So let's talk about where this storm is, kind of what we're seeing, and I'll be breaking down where this is going for us. So we have this inflow notch here, wind moving in, lifting. Wow, that lightning, it's quite impressive. And then the storm system is wrapping back around. So moving through Hogglesville right now, heading towards the city of Mertz. If you live in Mertz and you can hear my voice, if you live anywhere really from Mertz all the way to Brent and you can hear my voice right now, get to your safe place immediately. Your safe place will be the lowest floor of your house. putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible, staying away from windows. If you have young ones, put a helmet on their head and make sure that everybody has shoes and socks on, especially if there's some debris outside your house and you had to step outside. You would want to make sure that you are not barefoot. So just go ahead and take those proper precautions there. Let me go ahead and switch over really quickly, and we can actually get a look at what we're seeing across this area. So this is our velocity product again. So we are tracking what looks to be this area of rotation. So this is around County Road 29, County Road 154, County Road 23. And again, these are northernmost parts of Bibb County here. So again, a little bit more rural. And then as you're looking at Water Oak, and that's tracking off to the north and to the east. So there is the city of Brent. So I'll put our tracker on here because this storm is moving at about 45 miles per hour. So here's exactly where the storm is heading. So about 45 miles an hour. Well, that puts us right over Highway 280. So in 1 hour, this could be moving across Highway 280. So let's talk about the cities of impact here. We have Water Oak, which I had mentioned. There's Water Oak right there, that white dot. It is coming up on you now. I hope these folks are already in their safe spot. And then as we move towards Mertz in the next 5 minutes, extending out our timeline to Little Hope and Choctaw Hills, 17 to 19 minutes. And then as you look to Brent, so Brent, you're looking at more like 20 minutes, and then West Blockton is in there as well. So we want to make sure that everyone that's in here, so Moffett about 26 minutes. There's Moffett on the map, that little white dot that you see there. And again, this is moving out towards Alabaster. That's going to be our kind of our furthest point out there. It's not showing up on our timeline right here. We have a lot of cities that could be impacted here. But again, this storm system is moving northeast at this time. So something that we're tracking there. And as we are looking at this, we can actually see, so Eoline, Brent, Antioch, Ashby, West Blockton. If you heard me call out your city, maybe you're not facing the TV right now, maybe you're listening to us through a streaming device, make sure that you are getting to your safe place. These are the cities that need to take immediate action. If you see your name on this list, which we will leave up because we know sometimes folks are tuning in and out and in and out, we want to make sure that you have enough time to see this. So we will leave our cities and their warning time. Our warning times do update every minute. We are getting new information, so you will see these times shrink as we are looking at this track right here. So again, this storm is moving off to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour, and it's heading towards the city of Moffett, Brent, West Blockton, Antioch, and then eventually on towards Alabaster, that I-65 corridor, likely crossing over I-65 in about 45 minutes, and then within an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and then after crossing over 65, making its way over towards 280 there in Shelby County. For now, it looks like this is broadening out ever so slightly, but we are still seeing a very well-defined area of circulation. I'm just concerned because the storm has been what we call pulsing. So it will create a tornado, then it kind of pulses back up, and then it'll pulse back down. So we've started to see this storm kind of ebb and flow over the last hour to 2 hours. Actually, this started for us way back in Mississippi. We were just updating you at the top of every hour with what we were seeing on the scans of the radar. But back towards Laurel, Mississippi is when this started, and then it started to re-intensify as it moved into Alabama. Okay, we'll take the box down now, and what we'll track right now is areas of circulation that we're going to see and how this is going to be affecting our viewing area tonight, simply because we are going to be tracking quite a bit of activity across central Alabama. And one thing that I do want to show right now is the severe weather threats and why they are a threat. So looking at all of our counties right now, I want to zoom out because what I want to show you right now has to do with where this storm system is. So tornado watches still exist all the way up towards Etowah County, through the Birmingham Metro, back through southwest Alabama, and extending into southeast Mississippi. That's where we're seeing some thunderstorm warnings right now. None of these have been warned for as far as a tornado warning goes. Just the red boxes you see blinking in the center of your screen. So that kind of takes the radar off of it, but you can get a good idea of what we're seeing there. And here's what's going on in the atmosphere right now. It's warm outside, so as I look at these temperatures, it's important for me to really kind of understand what's going on in the atmosphere by I look at the temperatures, even Anniston is warm. So what we're noticing is this tongue of warm air through the central part of the state. Remember, Anniston, Talladega, Asheville, Alabaster, Birmingham, we have seen very little rainfall today. Now, west of 65, a lot more rain. Coleman, a lot more rain. Your temperatures have dropped. Your atmosphere is stabilizing. Dew points have even dropped there into the upper 50s. We still have low to mid 60s in central and southwest Alabama. Air mass is very soupy, so you couple that wet air with warm air, and those are ingredients that help to intensify these storms. Winds remain out of the south, and boy, they're just flowing in, almost 20-mile-per-hour winds right now in Alabaster, and those are not storm-induced winds. That's just winds that are moving in from the south. That warm air moving in from the south is what's prompted this severe weather outlook for tonight. We've trimmed back our enhanced area to kind of take out portions of central west Alabama, but now it does include Greene and Hale counties, the southern portions of Tuscaloosa County, and then the rest of us are still under that slight risk, and this will continue for the remainder of tonight into the early morning hours for tomorrow. So that is what we're tracking there, and the tornado threat as well. We have some new information coming in. Sarah?
Yeah, Ashley, this is a new picture that just came in from Demopolis. This is from a viewer who shared this with us of this storm. This is likely a picture of a tornado on the ground earlier in Demopolis, where we've been talking about the damage that's been reported. This is likely a picture of that tornado on the ground. You can see the wall cloud and then the lowering down towards the ground level. This is also why these storms are so dangerous. This is a clear picture of this likely tornado on the ground, because you can see the lowering of that cloud top all the way towards the ground. So when we have a funnel cloud, we do not know whether or not that actually means a tornado on the ground, but this is likely a funnel cloud and likely a tornado. So when we have actual touchdown on the ground, this is likely what we're seeing right here with this storm that would move through Demopolis. Now, the danger with these storms, you can see all the trees there. These are very difficult to see this time of year, and just being in the south with all the trees around us, this is why this is such a dangerous situation when we get past sunset and when it gets to be so dark outside, because this is going to be very difficult to see coming towards you because of the obstructed view from all the trees. So this is a pretty clear picture here, but still, for folks who were closer to this would have been very difficult to see, not only because of the heavy rainfall that was likely wrapped around this storm, but also because of all the trees obstructing the view of this likely tornado on the ground. Now, I talk about the difference here between the funnel cloud and the tornado. We have the wall cloud there, and the lowering down to the ground likely shows that this is a tornado, but until we get actual confirmation from the National Weather Service of that this was actually touching down, we will have that likely within the next couple of days when they do the survey here. But again, this is a viewer photo sent in to us from the Demopolis storm that we were seeing earlier. Jack and Sherry.
All right, Sarah, thanks very much. We want to go now to the EMA director in Shelby County. Hub Harvey is on the phone with us at this hour. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Hub, for tuning in, and let us know what you're seeing out there.
Well, right now we do have our Emergency Operations Center in Columbiana open and staffed at this time. We do have several of our stakeholders present here with us. We're just watching this storm very, very carefully and been watching it well back into Mississippi.
We've seen some damage in Mississippi. Of course, it's been deadly with trees down. What are you guys doing as far as preparing for stuff like that? We understand right now Bibb, Hale, Perry counties under a tornado warning.
Yes, we actually have been meeting with our highway department and other stakeholders such as schools going all the way back to Thursday of last week as we saw that this storm had the potential. We met with them again on Saturday, Sunday, and again this morning. So the highway department does have people staffed up and ready to go if we do, heaven forbid, do have damage in the Shelby County area.
And Hub, you said it a moment ago, but for people, if they're just tuning in, folks who may not be as familiar as they need to be with where they can go in communities like Alabaster and in all across Shelby County, where are some of the major places people should take shelter, should they need to take shelter and not have access to it in their own home?
We actually have a list of all FEMA-rated storm shelters in the county on our website. We encourage people to go to ema.shelbyal.com. That's ema.shelbyal.com. and that will have a list of all of the shelters.
Hub, some of these warnings are until 10 o'clock. Obviously, for Shelby County, this storm, if it keeps up this intensity, this is going to be later and into the overnight hours. Are you anticipating any issues for tomorrow morning?
We're not in. We worked extensively with our schools looking at tomorrow morning with the temperatures and the wind chills. Right now, we are not expecting any issues with travel for people going to work or children going to school, but we are in direct contact with all the school systems and the University of Montevallo. If that were to change, we will definitely be talking in the morning.
Does the Shelby County EMA hub assist other EMAs in terms of these places where damage has been reported? Certainly, sadly, some fatalities reported far to the north of us in Alabama, though, in Lawrence County tonight. How do EMAs like yours work together throughout the state in a time like this?
Well, we are a brotherhood and a sisterhood that are together in the fight against the incident, against the storm, no matter what it may be, because we're all hazards. And so on nights like this, I've already been talking with Kevin McKinney and several others over in the Demopolis and West Alabama area to see what needs they may have. And we have been chatting with people up in the Huntsville area to offer any support possible once the storm gets out of our area, that anything that we can possibly do to support them, first and foremost with our thoughts and prayers, but second with any resources, equipment, or personnel, we're more than happy to help any way we can.
All right, that's Hub Harvey, Shelby County EMA, letting us know what they are doing preparing tonight, but also what they are doing to assist those communities near the Demopolis area that have been hit tonight by these storms.
And as he mentioned, that list of shelters that are open in Shelby County tonight include the West Shelby Community Shelter in Montevallo. That's on Highway 22 for folks who need it. The Vincent Community Shelter in Shelby County remains open on Highway 62. And in Calera, the Calera Community Storm Shelter is open on 8th Avenue in Calera. Those are 3 open shelters right now in Shelby County should you need a place to go.
Hub Harvey, thank you. We want to get it back over to the CBS 42 Storm Team in the Weather Center right now, where they are continuing to track the different systems and this new warning that is up till 10 o'clock.
All right, thanks Sherry and Jack. We are watching closely the storm moving into Brent. Latest information from the National Weather Service, they're going to hold down on actually extending this into Shelby County for now. And again, I stress for now because we are going to be watching this storm as we have in hours past kind of re-intensify. One thing that's a slight sliver of hope here is the rain is beginning to broaden out quite a bit ahead of it. It's beginning to interact with that rain shield back towards West Alabama as these two air masses collide, that it doesn't become a mega storm. Conversely, it's kind of drawing energy away from the storm. So one storm has to weaken, one may intensify, but oftentimes the stronger storm gives energy away to the weaker storm, therefore kind of de-intensifying. So we're going to be watching for that. So I'll go ahead and move this up to where we can get a little bit better view of the storm. So as we track this one, again, looking at our reflectivity, our velocity here, I'm still not convinced that we are not seeing a little rotation there, so definitely something that we need to be tracking very closely. Storm Team meteorologist Griffin Hardy is joining us right now live from Marengo County, and he has joining with him the Emergency Management Director there in Marengo County. Griffin, tell us about what you're learning right now.
Well, Ashley, we are right in the Saltwell community, which is right off of Highway 80, and I have Kevin McKinney, who is the Marengo County EMA Director. There's been a lot of damage here. We have a ton of emergency vehicles that are parked on the side of the road. It appears that, for the most part, that you guys have kind of cleared the scene for the most part and made sure that everybody is out of the houses for now.
That's right. The search and rescue efforts are coming to an end, winding up now. We have 3 injuries that have been transported to the hospital, and that seems to be about the extent of the injuries so far.
Okay, that's good to hear that there hasn't been any confirmed fatalities that you know of. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, good. But obviously a lot of significant damage here. Are there any other parts of the county that you're now going to turn your attentions towards?
Well, we still have another area. This was a pretty wide area where it crossed Highway 80 and then went north into the river, across the river. And we have another area just west of here that we still have some units at now, just making sure that everything's, cared for.
Right. Well, I appreciate the sit rep. Thank you very much for that. And obviously, this is the same storm that continued northeast all the way up to Greensboro, up into Hale County. So that will be our next main target area to survey for any potential damage. But of course, still a lot of ongoing rescue efforts here in Marengo County. For now, I'll of course toss it back to you.
All right. Thanks so much, Griffin. We appreciate that. And I do want to bring your attention to actually a new warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning at this time, and this is in Perry County. So we're looking at this storm moving into Marion. Here's what we're going to notice. Basically what's happening is the storm that was producing some rotation in Bibb County has essentially joined arms with the leading edge of the storm in Perry County. We are going to have some fierce straight line winds racing through Perry County right now, and this is going to create quite the gust front as it races across the county. Keep in mind, these winds could be upwards of 70 or 80 miles per hour, and this storm is tracking off to the east at about 30 to 40 miles per hour, heading into some of these cities that you see here, Valley Grande in about 40 minutes, Maplesville in about 36 minutes. So we're continuing to track that. Again, it's kind of joined with the storm system in Bibb County right now, so it's going to draw a little bit of energy away from that storm. So we did see some weakening. We are watching that circulation really broaden out right now, and even as we put on our velocity, you can actually tell that the area that was a bright red or that kind of deep red color, that has really turned to gray at this point. So we're no longer really seeing much in terms of that rotation. There may be a little rotation lifting from the atmosphere, but at this point, I think that this is going to really turn into a wind event for Marion, the city of Marion, along Highway 5 there and along Highway 82. So where Highway 5 and Highway 82 intersect in the city of Brent, just be mindful. I know this area pretty well. I traveled along Highway 82 back and forth for many years, so keeping a very close track on that. I know these roads well. There's lots of wooded areas in this portion of Bibb County as well. So this is not something that we just need to be going out and trying to take pictures of. We've got crews in place that are doing that safely this evening, and we'll leave that to the emergency officials. Even after the storms have passed, as Griffin was showing us there with the Marengo County EMA director, we want to make sure that we are also not going out after the storm passes to do our own surveys, because a lot of times with the power lines being down, there's a lot of additional dangers that come to life after the storm moves out. I know you're wanting to assess it. Everyone wants to see what's going on. Let's let the emergency officials do their job. Let's let them get in there. The sooner they can get in, the sooner they can get to work, and then everything can be back to business as usual. But we've got to get things up and running. Power outages likely being reported in West Alabama at this time, and this is fiercely racing through central Alabama, moving into Perry County. And again, this area of straight line winds is now connected with a storm in Bibb County. At this point, the National Weather Service is going to stand down on extending this into Shelby County. But let me talk to the folks in Shelby County for just a second. As I mentioned before, this storm system was moving out of rural Alabama. It started to encroach on a little bit more populated area in Bibb County, and now we're talking about a much more concentrated area of population as we start to inch our way into Shelby County. This is going to be a big rainmaker. It's going to be a noisy storm, and we are going to hear some rumbles of thunder. I'll actually put the lightning back on here because we can actually see how that storm is affecting the area. So there's the lightning right now. So a lot of this lightning we can actually see kind of extending down this boundary there in Perry County, but this storm in Brent. So as the storm moves through portions of let's see, we're going to have Shelby and also now Chilton County more than likely. I have a feeling that severe thunderstorm warning will be extended because Maplesville, Thorsby, Jemison, Calera, and southern Shelby County, I think you're all going to be impacted by the storm in some capacity. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be tornadic, but it definitely means that you are going to be seeing very heavy rainfall. Gusty winds is going to be a big deal. Again, if you're in Shelby County right now, and if you have anything out in that yard that is not hunkered down, let's go ahead and try to address that. You've got about 15 or 20 minutes to race out there, get a few things loaded up, put it in the garage really quick, and this storm will race through, and then you can get it back out because otherwise it's going to end up in somebody else's yard. I don't know if we want that tonight. So unless you just want to give your yard art away. So in Christmas decor. So keep in mind, heavy rainfall, very gusty winds. We're seeing winds right now likely upwards of 40, 50, maybe up to 60 miles per hour, especially down in Perry County. And right now, this area of circulation in Bibb County is really broadened out. It's really become more or less a big old rain event, but we are still watching kind of a broad area of circulation as we turn. So right near the city of Brent right now, that's where we're seeing actually that area of rotation, and then heading over towards Vic and Antioch and then Trio there. This is going to be moving along near Harrisburg too. So there's Harrisburg, and this is where we would likely see that circulation. There is still rotation in the atmosphere, okay? This is why I don't want anyone to let their guard down. And the Marengo County video is just so impressive. That lightning keeps catching my eye, and I know that they're surveying now the area that was marked with some damage. So our thoughts and prayers with those folks in Marengo County for sure. And as we were tracking the storm in Bibb County, this is the storm that affected Marengo County. So it moved from Demopolis, and then it moved across into Bibb County, and now we're seeing that circulation there. But this is what makes it very difficult, not only with southern storms, but nighttime storms. Visually, it's hard to see, and this storm is completely rain-wrapped at this point. When we put our velocity on there, we can see that there's some rotation, but when we take that velocity off, it is just a rain-wrapped mess. And we're starting to see, even on the backside, a little bit of a notch, so we could be getting a little backside circulation there, and then the energy of this storm is really racing to the forefront. And what I'm actually going to be watching for in this Perry County storm as it emerges into Chilton County, we need to be watching for any little spin-ups on the front edge of that. That was the same setup in some of these storms that moved through North Alabama earlier today that spawned some tornadoes. These tornadoes are going to be what we call a spin-up type tornado, and right now we have our severe wind threat on there, and these are some of our parameters. So these are some of our threats that we could be seeing, likely seeing some hail out of these storms right now, and this is right along that leading edge from Marion to Brent. So that's Marion and central Perry County along Highway 5. So where Highway 5 connects Marion to Brent, that's where this very gusty wind is occurring currently. This will continue to track due east, and this is going to eventually be moving into Chilton County. So Maplesville is going to be impacted by this, and then on in towards Clanton, Jemison, and Calera. The storm system in Brent right now, strong winds really still in the center of circulation of that storm just outside of Brent, but we're noticing it's almost put on the brakes. And what you're actually watching happen is this storm system is merging with another storm system. As I said before, it doesn't necessarily become a mega storm, it's a give and a take, right? So one storm gets some energy, one storm has to give some. So what we've probably noticed here is a little bit of a sharing on that edge, so it's kind of slowed it down. It doesn't have enough steam, but near Duff Settlement is where we're likely seeing some very strong winds at this time. That's where the concentration of lightning is, which is another variable we look at, and that would align with this narrative of circulation. Tornadoes, also just a very active storm. We've got tall, towering updrafts, and that creates, along with that shear, kind of creates a little bit of that spin. And I think I hear some rain moving into Birmingham as we speak. So as we zoom out, we can see that shield of rain now entering the Birmingham metro. And just a real quick recap, I know we focused a lot of our time down towards Bibb County because that's where the tornado warning is, imminent danger. But what we're looking at in North Alabama is just a rain event. So if you're thinking, hey, you're forgetting about us, well, there's just not a severe threat. So rest easy tonight knowing it's just a rainy mess. There may be an occasional flash of lightning for you. There are some thunderstorms just outside of Jasper up towards Double Springs. These will be moving towards Arley, up towards Addison, and then along Interstate 22 down towards Summiton, Dora, Graysville. Then you're going to head up towards I-65 on Warrior and then up towards Coleman. That's where the heaviest rain is currently. And then this will track on to Aniana, Gadsden there. And actually, if we have our Skycam in Birmingham, we can pop that on really quick and at least see some of that rain coming from the BJCC. It at least gives us a good idea of the rain that we are seeing in Birmingham. At least we can kind of see some stuff with that camera. Some of the other ones get a little bit more difficult. See how the sky is a bit gray between the buildings there. Well, that would be the indicator that that rain is falling. It's a little hard to see the blinking lights on the tower there. You've got Vulcan off in the distance, right? It looks like it's sitting on top of that tower there, but it's up on the mountain. So some rain beginning to move into the Birmingham metro, looking at the sheen on the roadways, and then the winds picking up ever so slightly, looking at the flag blowing there. So all the visual things we tend to look at when we're identifying where that rain and that wind is. So again, kind of updating you on this tornado warning there in Hale County. Still looks like an area of rotation. I am not I'm not going to let my guard down on this one just yet, simply because we are going to be tracking this storm as it moves off to the north and northeast. Sarah, do you have some new information from the National Weather Service on the storm?
Yeah, they actually are talking about possibly extending the watch into farther into East Alabama and extending it into Georgia as well. I'm actually going to pull up the current watch that we have in effect. So that's the tornado watch that's currently in effect until 11 o'clock. It currently only, let me get that back up for you. So it currently includes Birmingham. It does include Gadsden right now, but the National Weather Service is actually talking about extending that watch farther into East Alabama, so possibly closer towards Coosa County, maybe Talladega County as well, because of this southern edge of this system that is producing severe thunderstorm warnings, as well as the tornado warning that's currently in Bibb County. That tornado watch may also be extended into Georgia as well. So that's what the National Weather Service is talking about right now. They're also mentioning the storm that is right now through Bibb County that likely produced a tornado earlier. While it has broadened out a bit and it is showing signs of weakening, that is why that warning has not been extended yet into Shelby County, but still we have to watch this one closely because we've seen this happen before where it doesn't look like it's going to tighten up, but then once again we see that closer area of circulation on velocity products and on radar, and that's an indication that the storm re-strengthened. So not out of the woods yet for Shelby County. It's still a good idea if you live in a manufactured home or mobile home, make sure you're in one of the Shelby County storm shelters right now because this storm is still heading towards you.
Okay, thanks so much, Sarah. We're going to continue tracking that storm now. Again, just as you mentioned, talking about some of the parameters with this storm, and I think extending this tornado watch is probably a really good decision. We actually get our watches out of Norman, Oklahoma, of all places. The Storm Prediction Center takes care of the watches across the U.S., and then our local offices, our local National Weather Service offices, take care of all of our local warnings, and then we communicate all of that information to you. So at this point, folks over in Norman are trying to figure out exactly what that watch will look like. And as I've always mentioned, there's nothing magical about county lines, but those are just the geographical markers that we have to use when kind of taking into account the places that we are going to warn people. This is a good time to know your geography, know the county that you live in, and know your neighboring counties. So as we start talking about these counties near you, that you're aware, hey, that one's the one to my west, and this storm is moving from the west. Hey, maybe it's time for me to get to my safe place. All good things to know, even with your surrounding cities. Know where you live, but also know a few of those surrounding towns as well. It's incredibly useful in times like this when we're just naming off cities and you need to get to your safe place. So I'm a little concerned with what's going on here in Brent right now. This looks like it's starting to kind of redevelop. It's been pulsing, and that's a word we're going to use through this evening about this storm. These storms have kind of been pulsing up, pulsing down, kind of lowering and raising throughout the night, and we can see this area. It's back in that little maroon circle there, but where we see this very light green in this maroon, that's where we would see that area of rotation. Let's zoom in pretty close there, kind of street view as we're tracking this. So at this point, I think that this will be moving towards Montevallo. So right there along the Shelby County line, along the northern Chilton line, is where we could see some of this occur. So now we're in the city of Brent. So it's right over you. Choctaw Hills, anywhere from Choctaw Hills to Brent, and then Easttown right here. If you hear me name this city, you need to be getting to your safe place. So Grace Springs, and then all the way, I'm going to go ahead and include western portions of Jefferson County in this, only only because this storm has been pulsing. Now we have that severe thunderstorm warning. It's extended into Chilton. We had just talked about that. This storm is producing significant wind on the leading edge there. We got a lot of lightning associated with this, and that lightning is also one of those key indicators that the atmosphere is just really excited right now. And that when we look at that, so as meteorologists, we're looking at the maps and we see that lightning, that makes our eye kind of go to these areas because we say, okay, there is something going on in the atmosphere here. So this storm system is going to be tracking into Chilton County in a matter of moments, and we're still continuing to track this area of circulation in Brent. Here's some new information. We'll send it to the desk with Sherry.
Ashley, thank you. As we take a look at a lot of what you're talking about, seeing the lightning light up and those high winds, we have some looks at damage we want to begin in Lawrence County, though, and that's where there are 2 deaths reported in that area. You can see this is part of the scene. You can see a lot of emergency rescue crews out there. You see the sheriff's vehicles on the road as well. Again, this is Lawrence County where 2 deaths were reported. We're told 4 people were injured in that community when the storms moved through much earlier today. And then in Decatur, we also have some images of damage there. You talk about these winds picking up and being 60 miles per hour. You can see here lots of trees down, big thick trees down on top of people's property. This is a mobile home community. It also looks like a car off there to the top of the screen on your left. And then here, we don't have the pictures from Huntsville, but earlier today in our 5 o'clock newscast, Ashley, you showed us just a peek in on their meteorologist who's a part of our Nexstar television station family. They talked about the winds that were coming into that area, but this that you're looking at right here on the screen is in Decatur, and that's where Ashley has been giving you just sort of a picture as this storm moved through that part of our state. And you can see that there are lots of reports of trees down in that community. We're told lots of damage to homes in that community. And then again, just one more look at in Lawrence County. That's the first one where we showed you where the emergency crews are out on the scene where there's traffic going on, but that was live video that we showed you, or video, it wasn't live, but it was video of the scene where we've been there on that scene as well, from Lawrence County, Decatur, and then in parts of Huntsville tonight. Jack?
Lawrence County, the place where those fatalities have been reported tonight. Injuries in multiple counties, including in Demopolis. We just learned about a few minutes ago from Griffin Hardy. There are shelters open across the state as this weather you see behind us continues to move through tonight. But the image is incredible of what the storm team has been warning about all day long, the potential threat, both damage to property, but more importantly to people's lives. 2 have been lost in Lawrence County tonight, multiple injuries in locations across the state.
And you can hear the rain is coming down. Again, this event is going to go on a little bit more through the night. So it's just approaching here in central Alabama. We've been on the air most of the evening tonight in the CBS 42 storm team where they've been tracking the storms, but it's starting to move into where we are tonight. Not the severity, but they are keeping a watch over it as you look at this active radar with some of the watches up and, of course, tornado warnings.
And that's what the blinking lights and those lines indicate, of course, the warning system. Some warnings in effect. It looks like a tornado warning still in effect. Ashley, Sarah, and now meteorologist Nate Harrington in the Storm Team Weather Center tracking all of that. Ashley.
All right. Thanks so much, Jack and Sherry. Here's the latest recap. If you're just now joining us, here's what we're looking at. It's been a long night of weather. It's been a long day of weather statewide. Now it's impacting us here in central Alabama. And this is actually right around the time we expected it to move through central Alabama. Time now is 9:43, so it's around 9 o'clock. It was anywhere between about 9 o'clock to midnight tonight where we had this expectation. So talking about this area of rotation, I'm getting a little concerned. There's this appendage that has kind of developed on the back edge of this storm. Even when we look at wind velocity, it's a little ragged, I have to confess. So just looking at that, it's a bit broad. You'll notice kind of it looked like a little hills there. But what I'm noticing is the atmosphere is still wanting to rotate. Now, if that rotation becomes a little tighter, it could in fact form maybe another tornado. It could also weaken just a little bit. So that's what we're watching very closely there. Again, we're noticing the severe thunderstorm warning has just now been extended into Chilton County, and we still are looking at this in northern Autauga and northern Dallas County. So that's just to our south, and there goes the watch. We had just talked about this moments ago. The watch is fully extended statewide for our viewing area. It now goes as far south as Butler County, I guess I see there, is that Pike County, and then as far north as it still looks like northeast Alabama is going to be under the gun here for this evening. So the tornado watch will expire at 4 o'clock. So we have a long night of this, folks. This doesn't mean that we're out from the woods just yet, but I will go ahead and mention, if you live back in northwest Alabama, the threat is diminishing for you. It's now just rainfall from Hamilton to Double Springs, Fayette, into Aliceville. It will quiet down for you tonight as we look along I-65. That's where I think the biggest cause for concern will be. And then out east of that, notice where there isn't any rain. That means this atmosphere is completely untapped. Still a lot of energy left over from the day. Yes, the sun has gone down. That will be a favorable element as far as diminishing our severe weather chances. However, it's all untapped. So as this storm moves in, it's just grabbing a lot of that warm air, that wet air, and that is the energy that fuels these storms. Just like your car needs gasoline to drive, these storms need warm, wet air to essentially fuel them. So there's plenty of fuel in the atmosphere. Sure, some of those elements might have dropped a little bit since the sun has set, but the temperatures that I just checked in Anniston were still at 70 degrees even at this hour of the night and this time of year. So that shows me that this atmosphere is still pretty buoyant out ahead of this line. So we still have a lot of energy to work with in this storm. So again, tornado warning still exists for Bibb County, severe thunderstorm warning for Chilton County. If you live in Shelby County, it's about to get a little active for you, whether it's the wind, whether it's the rain, or whether it's the lightning. So just be prepared for that heavy rain. Now, here's the silver lining with that. If this warning is not extended and we decide that that area of rotation just broadens out completely and it begins to fall apart, well, this will just fall apart into a big old rain event. Now, it's going to get rainy and it's going to get windy, so don't be surprised if some of those poinsettias get blown off your front porch or any of those inflatable Christmas decorations get a little deflated. So hopefully you've already taken care of that earlier today. If you haven't, go ahead and do that now. I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues, especially in Chilton County, as this line moves through. That wind is going to be fierce. We're looking at wind speeds over 60 miles per hour in some of these spots and producing a good amount of hail with that storm system as well. So let's go back to our velocity really quickly and we can zoom back down towards Brent, only because it still looks like a pretty broad area of circulation, but on the backside of this, we are going to continue tracking quite, I mean, that couplet still just looks impressive to me. I'm still not convinced that we don't have something going on in the atmosphere right there. I'll turn the lightning off. It just makes it a little bit easier to see. But anywhere from Easttown, Gary Springs, 6 Mile, Ashby, any of these locations, if you can hear my voice, if you just heard me say your town's name, I would go ahead and get to a safe spot, because where this bright green and kind of dark green come together, we can see a few pixels of red. That's information that we're getting from our radar right now. Very heavy rain along Montevallo Road just to the north of Gary Springs. This storm has finally moved east of Choctaw Hills and Brent. You're safe now. This storm, but barely. Let's stay inside for just a few minutes longer. Still some very moderate rain there. 6 Mile, Ashby, Thomas Mill, get to your safe place. Antioch, get to your safe place. Same with Oakley. This is going to be moving into Montevallo. If you are in Montevallo, that rain is starting to really come down for you. I would go ahead and seek shelter. Just, again, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from windows. Get to the lowest floor of your house. This is a good time to kind of go over that action plans with the youngsters too. Grab a helmet, put shoes and socks on. Anytime there's any additional debris, you don't want to be outside kind of traipsing around on any of that debris. All right, let's take a look at the timeline as we track this storm. So we're looking at Gary Springs there. We have 6 Mile. That's 8 minutes away. So there's 6 Mile and Antioch, both about 8 minutes from descending upon you. So go ahead and get to your safe spot. Actually, in this last scan, this is broadened out pretty significantly, but again, I still want to make sure that folks are well informed as to what is happening with this storm system. We have another one in Aldridge and Pea Ridge for the next 25 minutes or so. So we're going to continue to look at that. So let's go ahead and go to our Birmingham Futurecast right now, and I'll kind of march you through what we're expecting of this storm. We've got storm energy that we're looking at, and we're looking at our Futurecast. So even on our energy here, you can see where that warm air is kind of feeding that plume of energy. Well, that's going to feed right into our Futurecast. So the time right now, 9:49. So again, this storm is right over Birmingham, stretching down through Bibb County. So as we advance time on this one, we can see between now and about 11 o'clock, now we're moving into Shelby County, still going to have a lingering line of showers. It's going to be along this leading edge where we have the biggest threat for severe storms. Now we're into I-20, 11 p.m. to about 1 a.m. up towards Anniston, and then some isolated supercells developing out ahead of that towards Roanoke, Wedowee, and then back towards all the way down towards Rockford and Clanton, and then from 3 a.m. to about 6 a.m. it kind of makes its final push out of East Alabama. I won't be giving the all clear until daybreak tomorrow morning. With some new information, let's send it over to the desk with Nate Harrington. Nate?
Yeah, we're actually going to talk a little bit more about the Futurecast here. We showed you a little earlier all the storms that we've got going on right now. Obviously, a very serious situation with the tornado warning now. Like you were talking about, that leading edge of storms most likely producing another round of severe weather for folks that are in that untapped area in our southeastern counties, and that warning or that watch that just got extended until 4 o'clock includes basically all of East Alabama. We thought that watch was going to be extended. It is now until 4 a.m., just like you told us, Ashley. We still have a lot of very warm, untapped air that'll be moving into East Alabama here. The Futurecast, like we said, shows that leading edge of storms moving in by 11 o'clock to midnight, and it's that southern extent that we're really worried about. So folks in Chilton County, down in Coosa and Tallapoosa County, and then for Clay and Randolph counties, you're going to be under the gun here in the next couple of hours. So you've got some time to look at this. But after that, after we get past, say, midnight to 2 o'clock, I think by that time we'll start to see the end of the severe weather threat. Anything behind that is going to be moving into into tapped energy and tapped atmosphere, and we'll just probably see some rainfall after that. So we'll be watching it through the rest of the night, but I think by, say, 3 or 4 o'clock, we should be all done with any of the rain, and then it just gets cold after that. This is a very powerful storm system, and really, we've been talking about the fact that this is the first real big storm potential that we've had here during our secondary severe weather season. We haven't had much. The timing has been just a little bit off. We haven't had the dynamics in place, but we have had the dynamics in place for the last several days. The tornado threat, we think, is fairly low, but it's still a non-zero threat, something we're going to take very seriously. And like we've only seen one tornado warning. We've only seen a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings throughout the area, and really the big chunk of our viewing area has been spared from some of the nastier weather. We've seen lots of heavy rainfall. We've seen some gusty wind, but definitely nothing like folks in Mississippi have seen. So Storm Team Radar, we're showing you the big picture right now. The severe thunderstorm warning for Chilton County, the portions of Perry County too, and that very small tornado warning. So it's butting up right against Shelby County. Okay, so this is just for Bibb County and Hale County right now, and it goes until 10 o'clock. So that's another 8 minutes or so. And I did see that if I were to guess, they're probably going to extend this warning because, like Ashley said a little bit ago, there's too much evidence on radar right now that we can see that shows and points to still a rotating storm. And if it has a history of producing severe weather, if it has a history of producing a tornadic storm, it most likely will be extended here, I would think, into Shelby County. This severe thunderstorm warning for Chilton County, this is that main line of very strong wind. When you have a bowing out segment like this, you've got winds in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Folks in Pleasant Grove in about 3 minutes, New Convert in about 4 minutes, Center Hill in 6 minutes, and then you go into Chilton County, Jemison into western Chilton County, Adams in 9 minutes, Thorsby in 13 minutes, and then going down to Highland in about 20 minutes or so. So if your towns are near there, basically if you're in the entirety of Chilton County, this line of storms will be moving through your neck of the woods here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. and with strong winds, most likely the main threat here. Also the heavy rainfall. But other than that, it's been a fairly quiet night. It's been a night that we've seen plenty of rainfall, plenty of gusty wind, but the tornadic activity that we saw in Mississippi has only come to fruition for just a few spots here in central Alabama, and we can definitely be thankful for that. Over the big picture, back behind this main line of storms, like Ashley was telling you, we've got some clearing now. We think all the severe weather threat is done, basically, for our northwestern counties and western counties. As you look at where the warnings are right now, we've got one other warning that has now actually expired, just as 9:55 has gone on. So only warnings really in the Deep South are here in central Alabama that we're tracking right now in Bibb County and also in Chilton County as well. Ashley, we'll go ahead and send it back over to you.
All right, thanks, Nate. As we're looking at the storm team radar kind of expanding out, just as you were mentioning, we're looking at just kind of a line of thunderstorms at this point with that tornado warning in Bibb County. But look at this, from Knoxville, Tennessee through Huntsville, all the way back into South Mississippi into East Louisiana. This is a long, really like just a long line of thunderstorms right now. So a lot of lightning is being produced with this storm system as well. So it's going to get noisy for folks in Maplesville, Thorsby, Jemison, along I-65. Not travel weather. Not that this is exactly the time people are hitting the road and getting out and doing business, but there are some opportunities for people to be on the roads there. If you are listening to us through a streaming device and happen to be on the roads, hey, people do have travel plans, so just make sure that you are giving yourself enough time to kind of avoid the stretch of interstate, essentially anywhere along along mile marker 205. So that's going to be the Clanton exit, all the way north of that to Calera, and basically south of that almost to the northern edge of Prattville there, maybe not quite as far south, but northern Autauga County is in that severe thunderstorm warning area currently. And again, we still have this tornado warning for Hale County that we're looking at. Again, the rotation has broadened out considerably. This is actually the best, and what I mean by best the radar looks, best in terms of bringing us just rain, no severe weather. When I talk about a good-looking radar, what I mean is it's minimal threat to you. I'm not talking, oh, that looks so good, it's really intensified. Good for me means that our threat for really extreme weather is going down. So the good news here is this is really separated where we had that area of rotation. Notice on the back there, backside, we have started to see that break apart as that's moving closer towards Calera. It's going to start moving along Interstate 65, heavy rainfall heading towards Helena and Alabaster. This will also clip the southern edge of Hoover. This is going to lift just slightly to the north. 45-mile-per-hour wind moving at about 45 miles per hour. So, I mean, it's not racing through, but it's moving at a very fast clip. So this should move through. Now, keep in mind that the heaviest rain is on the leading edge of this. Back behind it is where we're seeing lighter rain. So the rain won't come to an end for a couple of hours, but the threat, that leading edge, will only last for most communities a matter of minutes as that wind quickly moves in and then it quickly moves out. But then you're going to be left with some heavy rain, and then that rain tapers over time. So that's where we're tracking those storms right now. As I lift this storm to the north just a little bit, I do want to show you this in Maplesville, the heavy rainfall that we're seeing here. So actually, I'll put a quick track on that storm system. So this is really moving through Clanton pretty quickly. So let's look at this real quick. So again, that's a severe thunderstorm warning, and that will expire at 10:45 tonight. But here are some of those cities of impact. We have Maplesville right now, and so there's Maplesville on the map. Then we have New Convert in a minute. So really right anywhere along that edge. So Dixie, Parnell, Maplesville, Isabella, you're really just, it's there, it's upon you. So just hunker down for a moment, stay inside. As you talk about Jemison, Thorsby, Lomax, and Clanton, now you're starting to get in that 7 to 12 minute time frame. Clanton in about 20 minutes. So you'll notice those cities are kind of angled off there from Jemison to Clanton, kind of north to south. So keep in mind, this storm is tilted, though. This storm is tilted from the northeast to the southwest. So the northern tip is going to hit those northern communities first, and the backside will hit those southern communities a little bit later. So we have a little bit more of a window there of opportunity as far as getting to a safe place. So anywhere from Parnell, Pletcher, Enterprise, you're going to be on the backside of this. So that's going to be more in the 11 to 15 minute range for you. So keep that in mind. This storm system right now is entering into western Chilton County. We still have a tornado warning in effect for Hale County. Let's zoom into that. There's still a couplet that persists. So what that shows me is there is still an area in that atmosphere that continues to rotate, and as long as that storm is rotating, there could be an opportunity for this storm to spin up a little tornado. So I do want folks to still pay attention in Montevallo, Country Hills, and Calera along I-65. Be careful. Just know you are not seeing a warning for southern part of Shelby County, but this storm system is moving into Shelby County, and now we're going to start talking about the some mountain chains as we move in here. We've got Double Oak Mountain, and so a lot of these, what I call just kind of landforms, these storms, even if they're not maybe touching the ground, I mean, even a couple thousand feet in the air, it could definitely intersect some tree lines there along the ridges of some of these mountains. So just be mindful of that, especially if you have residents high atop some of these elevations there. Just be mindful of that. Again, that warning is not moving into Shelby County, at least for the tornado warning. And I did just, they did. Okay, let's go to Sarah. She just updated us that tornado warning is going to be extended.
Yes, the tornado warning is going to pop up on the map here soon. The National Weather Service is currently working on the current warning, but this is a heads up for folks in Shelby County, specifically Montevallo and Calera. The old warning just expired, but it is going to be reissued here for Shelby County. It'll include Montevallo, Calera, along the I-65 corridor into Columbiana possibly. Because of that area of rotation that we were just pointing out to you with this storm that has a history of producing a tornado. All right, so here's the latest warning. It does include northern Chilton County right now. It includes Jemison and Thorsby up through Calera over towards Columbiana, Hillsdale, Nelson, 4 Mile, Wilsonville, all in this new warning. And this new warning does go until, let's see, 10:45 this evening. So the next 45 minutes here. But folks in Montevallo, this is heading towards you right now. Ashley, if you want to jump up there, I'll let you take over.
What we have been talking about this kind of through the duration, right? We've been talking about this rotation, and glad to see that they are extending the warning into Shelby County, because that really does reinforce what we're seeing on our radar. Albeit this may not be a classic huge monster storm kind of setup, but hey, it's enough for us to have some caution here. We definitely need to make sure that folks are getting to their safe place. So again, Ashby, Montevallo, Country Hills, Calera, across I-65 towards Columbiana, folks just need to be prepared there. Camp Branch. So this storm system is moving towards I-65. Sarah, winds still moving at about 45 miles per hour still?
Yes, still moving at around 40 miles per hour, and also it's difficult to see just because we're getting really close to the radar site right now.
Which is that dot right there.
Yeah, you can see the dot right where Ashley is pointing at. So since we're so close to the radar site, things are getting a little distorted here, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to see.
Yeah, so this is where it gets very interesting, where computers are helpful, but humans can be extra helpful in this situation. This is what we study here, so we're able to kind of discern what's going on with the radar, even when it begins to intersect these areas very close to the radar. Essentially what's going on, radar shoots a big old beam out, that beam comes back to the radar, it lets us know that it has intercepted something in the atmosphere, and then it just basically gives it a color scale, and that's the density of what it saw. So whether it has seen, heavy rain, light rain, and that's what we're able to tell you, hey, this is hail, this is what we think is heavier rainfall, and then the shape that this takes. Okay, here's something interesting too. This notching feature here, I wonder if there's going to end up being, this is bowing out a lot as we're moving towards Jemison and Thorsby. I'm a little concerned with that. This means even if it's not forming a tornado, it's going to be producing some intense winds. So if you're in Jemison and Thorsby, brace yourselves. It is about to get gusty outside. Let's talk about who will be impacted along this path. So kind of the immediate communities, Jemison and Thorsby. As we look on our list here, we are going to see some of these places like Shelby Springs, Shelby Hillside, Spring Creek, Columbiana in the next 10 to 15 minutes as this storm system is tracking off to the east. And then again, we're also kind of in the same looking at the Hale County storm. Well, it's moved out of Hale County into Bibb, and that Bibb County storm is now moving into Shelby County. So we literally have two storms that essentially merged. So the north end of the rainmaker that created that bowing feature has now essentially moved closer into the storm that's moving through Montevallo and into Calera right now. We'll send it to you, Sarah.
Quick update, Ashley. I know they're hearing the tornado sirens going off right now, the outdoor weather sirens in Shelby County. I just want to mention that I'm sure they're going off across the entire county. If you're in Hoover right now, you are well north of this, as well as Pelham, even Alabaster, well north of this storm right now. So if you're hearing the tornado warnings there, you guys are fine. But this is more towards Montevallo, Columbiana, over towards Wilsonville as well. So I just wanted to let folks know about that, Ashley, just if they're hearing the warnings right now. And in Hoover or Pelham, you guys are fine. This is well to your south right now. Ashley.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. And actually, our photographer right now is hearing the sirens. He's at Highway 77 and 22, hearing those sirens go off. And again, that's a good indicator that there is something moving in. So if you are in Shelby County and you hear those sirens going off, it's because that tornado warning now includes portions of our viewing area there. So we're watching that. You can actually see, we can take the track off for just a second, just so we can kind of see that polygon there. So it's going to be really the southern edge of Shelby County. So north of this polygon, you've got Alabaster, you've got Chelsea, Highway 280. So this is going to be Sylacauga, well, near Childersburg and Sylacauga eventually. So it's going to be kind of aiming in that direction along Highway 280. But it looks like it's going to drop just a bit south of Chelsea. So that's a little bit of relief, very populated area. Again, as we get closer into the Birmingham metro, a lot more neighborhoods, a lot more communities, a lot more population density in these spots. So we need to really make sure that everyone's getting this information so we can maximize all of our safety tonight. That's what's key here. So moving into Montevallo currently, we've got Calera, and that is really moving into Calera right now. Heavy rainfall, gusty winds along this leading edge, likely upwards of 60 miles per hour here from Jemison down towards Thorsby. And these bowing features, what that is, and look how it's splitting apart even. This storm has some fierce winds associated with it. The winds are moving in from the backside. I mean, I'm concerned that there could even be some rotation here too. So let's look at our debris tracker really quick and just see if we're seeing anything. So again, we're a little bit close to the radar site, and we can take the lightning off real quick, but we are seeing a couple of pockets where there are some we look for differentiating in the color there. So what we're seeing is near Wilton, I'm noticing that there's what could potentially be some debris there. Nothing really stands out tremendously to me, but that's exactly where we would notice if there was anything right there. So going back to our maps here, as that wind is really going to be the main feature on the leading edge of the storm system that's now moving into Chilton County. And we also have the storm system moving into Shelby County. So kind of two different systems. If you're up towards Helena and Alabaster, just some heavy rainfall for you. It looks like you're going to be slightly removed from the rotating element of this storm, but as we zoom into that Wilton storm really quickly, we can kind of get a better idea of what we're seeing there. And this is again moving towards Montevallo, and that's where we would be tracking any indications that we're seeing any type of debris or the rotation there from that storm system. This would be tracking off to the northeast, impacting Calera, South Calera, all the way up towards Hillside and Shelby. So again, we're getting kind of close to the radar site, which is located at the Shelby County Airport, the National Weather Service office located right there. So this storm system is literally heading right to our National Weather Service office as we speak, and it will continue moving over towards Hillside, Columbiana, Nelson, and Wilsonville. So folks just need to take proper precautions there. It will miss Chelsea by like inches, and then it will be, you know, just a little bit on the southern side of Highway 280. So Childersburg, go ahead and start getting that action plan going in your mind. Same with Sylacauga. Go ahead and start walking through what that would look like if you need to put that plan into action in the next 15 minutes or so. Just go ahead and start thinking through that process. If you live in southern Shelby County, just go ahead and start acting on that. You don't have to think about it anymore. Just act on it. Go ahead and get to your safe place right now. All right. If we want to go ahead and look right now at our, let's look at our velocity product really quickly, and then we can kind of get an idea of what we're seeing close to that radar. So again, as we're getting a little closer to this radar, a little bit harder to see some of those indications, but this storm system is tracking off to the north-northeast, kind of right near Calera along I-65, and then tracking off to the north-northeast at this time. So, Sarah, let's give us a quick update on how fast the storm is moving and any new updates from the National Weather Service.
Oh, well, right now we don't have any new, yeah, that's okay. We don't have really any new updates except for the TDS, which is the tornado debris signature. Just a few minutes ago, they said that that tornado debris signature was near the Shelby, Bibb, and Chilton County borders, kind of the triple point there. So that would be, you know, right, it would be basically where the tornado warning was just about 10 to 15 minutes ago. So that tornado debris signature most likely is the indication that they needed to extend this warning further. But as far as any new updates, no. Basically, this is the only game in town that we've got right now in Shelby County. I did want to look at some pictures that we got in from the Hale County EMA. If we can go to Weather 2. If you could pull up Weather 2, there you go. So we've got, these are courtesy of Ryan Magnuson in Hale County, and that is what looks to be a pretty well-defined tornado there. That was taken most likely a little bit ago into Mississippi. That was from the Hale County EMA. However, it's a pretty intense lightning show there as well. You can check out some of this lightning. We'll look at that right now. Pretty intense stuff. For folks there. So that was a lightning strike that was caught on camera over in Hale County as well, and that tree unfortunately looks like might have suffered a direct hit. So that's the kind of storms that we're looking at right now. The intense lightning, a lot of heavy rainfall, most likely a little bit of hail too in some of these storms. But this is what you're going to encounter right now, folks. If you're not seeing the tornado near you, if the storms are just to your south, if you're watching us in the Birmingham metro, there's a ton of lightning and a lot of heavy rain now starting to fall on our studio here on Red Mountain. So we're watching that very closely. The latest update is that this tornado debris signature that we've been tracking with this storm is basically, or was basically, near the triple point of the Bibb, Chilton, and Shelby County line. So that was down to the south of where this actual tornado is right now, and that was about 5 minutes ago. So we still have the indications that this thing is producing a tornado. That is something that we've been watching really for the last 2 hours. This storm has held itself together, but as it approaches the radar site, like Ashley was saying, it's kind of hard to decipher where the most intense rotation is and some of the more notable characteristics that you would find with a rotating supercell thunderstorm. So not really seeing the distinct characteristics, but we can definitely track this thing as it moves through Shelby County into Chilton County too. Folks in Columbiana and Shelby here within the next 10 minutes or so as you go through Talladega County. You're going to see these storms move into your neck of the woods here in the 25 to 30-minute time frame as these storms move about 40 miles per hour to the north and to the east. So everyone in Shelby County, just get to your safe spot right now, please. It's imperative that you do so. This storm has had a history of producing a tornado, and even though we can't have any ground confirmation now, because of how dark it is after the 10 o'clock hour, we're still going to be tracking this very closely here as it continues to move to the east. Ashley?
Thanks, Nate. Actually want to bring you some late breaking information. We now have a confirmed tornado near the city of Calera, just to the southeast of Montevallo. This information coming in from the National Weather Service. Confirmed tornado on the ground near the city of Calera. Please get to your safe spot immediately. Let's head back to our radar. We can see where that it's tracking right now, and it's literally right just to the south of our radar site there. So we can take our list off there, our track, and then we'll zoom right in to Calera. So this is along I-65 there. So you have Roberta, and this is back towards Montevallo. So southeast of Montevallo, heading towards Calera, likely a tornado on the ground. This is going to be crossing over I-65, heading towards Ozan, and then just to the south of Shelby Springs, tracking due east at this time. National Weather Service has reported a confirmation of a tornado on the ground near the highway 155 and Highway 200. There are some reports of trees down. This could be associated with that tornado, but we are getting a confirmed tornado at the location near Calera. It's moving northeast at around 40 miles per hour. And as we've talked about, this storm has clearly had history of producing tornadoes. This is a live look now that you can see from your camera on the side of your screen there from Calera. We are seeing, and this is Highway 70 and 22. So this is Highway 70 and Highway 22 where those two intersect, and this is where our photographer Toby is, and he was saying just moments ago he could hear the sirens going off, and folks just really need to get inside to their safe place. So again, this is in the city of Calera. So if we want to kind of zoom in here, there's Calera right there, and we are going to be tracking this. Let's put our velocity product on really quickly. Let's see if we can see just a little bit of the so there's likely going to be a little bit of rotation near Calera right here. You can see some variance in that color there. And so this is County Road 20. And that's where we're going to be tracking. This heads right into Calera, heading over 21st Avenue, right towards the city of Calera. Then you have County Road 310 there, and then you're going to move on towards Ozan. So that's going to be on the east side of I-65. This storm system continues tracking due east. So again, we're going to want to watch that very closely. We have County Road 310. That turns into State Route 25, if you're more familiar with that, into Shelby Springs. If you're familiar with Shelby Springs and Springs Junction, that storm is going to be heading in that direction. So again, we're going to be crossing over Interstate 65, and that's Highway 20. And so keep in mind that this area, again, maybe a little less populated than some spots, but still we're starting to get into more of those population centers here closer to the city. Let's put on our debris tracker. Let's see if we see anything. Right now, it doesn't appear, there's actually some stuff to the south, but it doesn't really appear right now that we're looking at a huge debris ball. That's usually indicated by a bright circle that we see on there. Not really seeing a lot of that right now. But one thing is for sure, there is heavy rain falling on the Shelby County Airport right now. Some very heavy rain towards Montevallo Acres, down towards Calera, and that storm system is crossing over Interstate 65 right now, and it's tracking off east-northeast. All right, let's put that track back on, as this is going to be tracking off to the northeast, and that's where we can get a really good idea of what cities will be impacted. As I said before, if you're in Shelby County and you hear the sirens go off, northern Shelby County, you're safe. It's a lot of rain. You're likely hearing some thunder due to that lightning. Look at the Calera live picture that we have. Did you notice how that rain has really begun to pick up? And I have a feeling here in just a few moments we will start to really see, yep, it's going to start to see those flashing lights kind of, or the red lights there kind of swaying in the wind. The wind should pick up here very quickly as this storm system pushes on to the east here. So keeping that in mind. And it looks like, is that a new warning? That, oh, that's the thunderstorm warning there. All right, so we're tracking the storm off to the east. So here's those cities that will be impacted. You have Ozan and Shelby Springs, just as we mentioned before, and that's in the next 5 minutes. But then Kingdom Crossroads, 18 minutes, Wilsonville, 35 minutes, and then to Childersburg. You got about an hour until you get there. But again, we want to give as much time as we can. We try to be the intermediary between the watch and the warning. The watch gives you hours of, hey, favorable conditions, warning, take immediate action. We want to give you that in in between time. So you can go ahead and start thinking about that action plan. Then, if it warrants, you just put that action plan into place. We want to really keep emotions low at this point. Everybody makes some good choices here. So Thorsby, that wind is racing through. It kind of moved through Thorsby. It raced over I-65, and there's that notch there. And this is likely where we're going to see some rotation. We can probably put that radar. Let's do velocity back on there because we can probably get a good idea of where we're going to see some of that spin up in the atmosphere. Kind of hard to see right here. This looks like a big old wind event more than anything. But look at our Calera camera right now. We can really see that rain coming down. Wow. Okay, so the rain that we're seeing there, if we'll zoom right into Calera, we can actually see on the radar what matches the picture that we're seeing right next to us. So this is the back edge of the storm system that's moving through, and that is producing significant rainfall. Not only significant rainfall, but boy, that rain is really moving across the screen there as that wind is picking up. Wow, that is really impressive. And you can really start to see the red lights just swaying in the wind there as that rain is really picking up and really falling in sheets. So folks, just be careful. More than anything in Calera, we just want you to be inside. That is really the #1 priority right now. Not an opportunity to get out and chase storms. Just really not a lot to see. It's heavy rain. You're going to get cold and wet. There's just no need for that. Let's be honest. Not to mention, it's dangerous, okay? It's dark outside. You're not going to see these storms develop. The tornadoes that form in storms like this are broad enough to where they don't have those classic visuals like you would see in a picture or a movie like we've been showing in that Demopolis picture, but that had some daylight behind it. Boy, this rain is really picking up. This is exactly what folks can be expecting as the storms move through. We're starting to hear some thunder here at the TV station ourselves, and that's because this lightning is beginning to kind of march up this line of storms here. Let's zoom out really quickly. Since we did just hear some lightning here in Birmingham, and we've got our lightning tracker on, we can actually see some of that lightning along this line. And again, we're hearing those rumbles of thunder beginning to roll through. Not sure you can hear it on my microphone there, but we can definitely hear it. We're elevated. We're high on top of the mountain there, as I mentioned before, some of those differing elevations. But what we're tracking currently, it looks like the tornado warning continues through Shelby County. It does not look like it has been extended into Talladega County at this time. Sarah, what are some new updates from the National Weather Service on that thinking?
Yeah, Ashley, so right now the National Weather Service is looking at extending the severe thunderstorm warning that's in Chilton County right now into Coosa County. They did nudge the tornado warning farther south into Chilton County, but it has not been extended farther east just yet, and it does not look like they are going to as of right now. But as we've seen with this very same cell that just continues to weaken and then strengthen back up, we could see it reissued. So I don't want to give the all clear for folks in Sylacauga and Childersburg yet, because we had the same scenario where it looked like it was weakening, but then they reissued it. As of right now, it does look like it has weakened enough that they are not reissuing it, but the severe thunderstorm warning could possibly be issued into Talladega County as well, because the National Weather Service is already talking about the severe thunderstorm warning for Coosa County. The main threat there will be very strong winds, because you can see this bow. It looks like a bow from a bow and arrow right here that's tracking into Coosa right now, where you see that really sharp gradient from the dark reds to the absolutely light greens in front of it. That shows you how strong the winds are bowing into Coosa County. So right there it goes. There's the news severe thunderstorm warning. So the red box here for Coosa County now is extended into folks near Rockford. This is tracking towards Quincy right now, Marble Valley, Blue Springs down through Dollar. As well as towards Kelly's Crossroads. So that's the severe thunderstorm warning. Your main threat will be very strong winds in excess of 60 miles per hour here possible with this leading line here. Still the tornado warning, let's see, this one goes until 10:45, so we have about 23 more minutes left on this warning, the tornado warning that has not been reissued just yet. They are still continuing. The National Weather Service just did update that the tornado warning is going to continue through 10:45, but they have not reissued it just yet. The line is also starting to slow down just a bit, so we're seeing this leading edge here moving at roughly 30 miles per hour. That's down about 10 miles per hour, so slowing down just a bit, but still strong winds will be the main threat with this one, Ashley.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah. As we are tracking the storm, I know that they continue to kind of reshape that tornado warning, but it's something, as we've mentioned kind of through the evening, we want to make sure we just really don't let our guard down on this one. It is definitely a situation where not only are we producing the gusty winds, but we're seeing areas of rotation. But I do want to bring your attention to this leading edge moving through Clanton. Boy, it is creating some very heavy rain. And if you were watching our Calera live camera right here, you were seeing all of that rain that was falling, but now it looks like it's pretty much come to an end. That's how quickly the heaviest rain moves in and moves out. So again, this is not going to be an all-night event, but it is going to be mildly disruptive for a short amount of time. So folks just need to be mindful of that. This line extends all the way from Calera down into Selma at this point. This is racing through Chilton County, and now it's going to be moving into Coosa County with the extension of that tornado warning there. So that's severe threat. Let's look up kind of in the southern part of Shelby County where that threat is right now. It looks like the only threat is really going to be some of that hail, and then we could likely see some lighter winds out towards Columbiana. If you live anywhere from Calera to Columbiana, I would go ahead and get to your safe place, and this storm will continue to track, as we mentioned before, into Talladega County. So Childersburg down towards Sylacauga, you're about to be in for some very gusty winds, some very heavy rainfall, and some intense lightning as well, especially with a storm back towards Chilton County. The wind, the rain, all of that combined is going to make for a very messy night across central Alabama. And as mentioned before, in East Alabama, we have a lot of this untapped energy. So we have warm air from today. It's filled with water, a lot of moisture. It hasn't rained yet, but it's a little muggy, especially for mid-December. And so all of those elements really aid the development of these storms, just like your car needs fuel to go or needs gasoline. These storms, that's the energy these storms need to stay fueled. So we've got the wet air, we've got the warm air. That's why at 10:25 at night we're tracking such active weather, because even though traditionally a lot of this stuff happens during the heat of the day, we just have a lot of leftover ingredients from today that have been completely unused and untapped. Now, let's zoom out. So these are our severe threats in the purple, the hail, and then the green is really the heavier rainfall that we're seeing. But let's zoom out and look at our radar really quick, kind of area wide. We can just click DMA really quick. I want to march everybody through, because if you've joined us tonight and you live north of I-20, it's just been rained for you. No severe weather for you from Gadsden to Centerpoint down to Bessemer and Birmingham, up towards Coleman. And you really, and quite frankly, we've dodged a bullet for the northern fringe of our viewing area, because just north of you, we've had dangerous tornadoes impacting North Alabama, the Tennessee Valley, and then it's just been a wet mess south of that all the way to basically I-20. And then from I-20 south, we've had an active night of weather. So there's just this little sweet spot that has really been void of some of that severe weather tonight. And again, that's pretty much along and north of I-20 at this point, up to 59, and that's where we're seeing some rainfall right now up towards Gadsden. And actually, let's put our Gadsden tower cam on right now, because that rain is moving through, and then we can toggle between our Gadsden tower cam and our Birmingham tower cam, because that'll kind of give us a good bird's eye view of what those locations look like. And for now, we'll send it over to Nate.
Thanks a lot, Ashley. I did want to show a couple of different things and talking about how important the atmospheric dynamics are with continuing these watches and warnings into East Alabama. We'll take a look at that in a second. This is our severe wind tracker. Now, this is over the last couple of hours. You see this line from Demopolis all the way through Bibb County into Shelby County and then extended off. That is the actual tornado that was producing all the damage down in Marengo County, down in Demopolis, and then moving into Greene and Hale County that moved into Bibb County. I mean, we're talking about 50-plus miles of a tornado possibly on the ground, lifting, dropping back down. So a very long-lived tornadic storm. And then you've got the winds down to the south in Chilton County. These are no joke either. We're talking winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's about as strong as a EF1 or EF0 tornado. So that can do plenty of damage as well. So a lot of severe wind. We knew this was going to be a wind event for sure. The tornado aspect was a little bit questionable, but that's exactly what we've got right now in both Chilton County and in Shelby County too. Is that warning? Both warnings are going to be extended. The severe thunderstorm warning into Coosa County, and then possibly that tornado warning too. We'll watch that very closely. But right now, it looks like things have gotten a little bit better. I want to talk temperatures really quickly. Like Ashley was saying, there's still a lot of untapped energy in parts of East Alabama with temperatures in the upper 60s to mid 60s. You look at the dew points, though, that this might actually help us out just a little bit. Dew points are a little bit lower than folks in West Alabama are seeing. Dew points in the low 60s to upper 50s. That might help us out a little bit. That might keep things at bay. That might bring in a little bit less of a chance for these tornadoes, for these thunderstorms to extend. So that's maybe a little bit of good news. The reason why we still have some very humid air off in our western zones is because there's still rain falling out there. We're not going to see the end of the moisture in the atmosphere until we see the cold front totally move through and the drier air move in. That doesn't happen until later on tonight. Even though we're done with a severe threat to the west, there still is a chance that we have some rainfall and also a few thunderstorms too with a very unstable air mass. But just looking at how much wind we've got out there right now, right near Calera, right near the radar site, into Shelby County, into eastern Shelby County, that tornado warning, still a very serious situation. And then the winds that are heading out of Chilton County now into Coosa County, winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour can really cause some damage that we're going to be looking at for the rest of the night tonight. If anything, if these tornadic storms don't continue, the chances of these severe thunderstorms are because of the dynamics that are still left over in the atmosphere. Ashley, we'll send it back over to you.
Okay, thanks a bunch there, Nate. So here's what we're looking at. I'm kind of zooming around and tracking some of the heaviest rain areas. So Chelsea along Highway 280 from Inverness to Westover. This is into Harpersville. Now this is lifting to the north towards Sterrett. So this will continue as a rain event. Heavy rainfall, albeit, and a couple of flashes of lightning, which still indicates there's still some excitement in the atmosphere tonight. And this track, though, where the tornado warning exists, Columbiana towards Nelson, Wilsonville, and then on into Carrollton Point there. So folks just need to be advised, please be careful along this line here. We're tracking this. This warning is likely going to be canceled. Even the last scan, it was really disorganized. So this tornado warning is likely going to be canceled here in the next few minutes. So we're tracking that. Severe thunderstorm warning still for Chilton County. And then as we look at this storm system, it's not exactly looking other than a big old wind event. And that's what Nate was talking about. A lot of wind associated with this as it moves through Chilton and then on into Coosa County. So we'll continue monitoring this very closely as it begins to race into these areas. But this is moving in and moving out very quickly. If you remember when this storm moved into Chilton County, it's pretty much out. And we've only been on the air. I mean, we've been on the air a long time today, but as far as just that storm goes, it's just been a short window of time. So it's already making its way into northern Coosa County at this time. Rockford, you're going to be under the gun here very soon. This will continue moving into Tallapoosa County, the northern part of Lake Martin. So Alexander City, Dadeville, please be on the lookout along Highway 280, anywhere from Sylacauga down towards Alexander City. You're going to want to make sure that you're just prepared for these straight line winds. As I've mentioned before, if you have anything outside, it's the holiday season, so you may have some things that are just kind of loosely tacked around the yard or around the house. You may want to grab those really quick if you have time. I know I don't want to mess up anyone's Christmas displays, but the reality is this wind will come through and it'll take care of it for you if you don't. So I guess that would be the other option, and your friends could have a decorated front yard. So that's where we're looking at the strong winds there along that leading edge. But at this point, the tornado warning has since expired, and we are just tracking heavy rainfall now beginning to move into Coosa County. Strong winds, heavy rainfall, tornado threat is pretty much finished at this point. We are tracking the storm system moving into Childersburg and Sylacauga. That's where the area of rotation was. Now that area of rotation has broadened out tremendously, so we're not seeing that center of circulation. Still quite the cluster of lightning strikes from Clanton all the way back towards Valley Grande and northern Dallas County. So in the southern edge of this is Dallas County, Autauga County. That's where we're seeing a lot of that heavy rain. So this is really the southern edge, Chilton and Coosa County in our viewing area tonight. So if you live in Peach Country, that rain has just zipped past you along exit 205 there. We have the state EMA office right there, so they just got hit hard by a lot of that rainfall. And then as we're looking along the leading edge here, that wind is racing into Coosa County. Wind speeds upwards of about 60 miles per hour. Whew, that's a lot. So folks, just be careful. Big old wind event. And yeah, as Nate mentioned before, I think this is something we have to remind ourselves of. The T word, tornadoes, that's what we tend to latch ourselves to and feel like are the most damaging part of these storms. But the straight line winds can have winds just as strong as EF0 and EF1 tornadoes. So keep that in mind. And a long squall line of this wind can be over a mile long. So imagine a mile wide wind swath of 60 or 70 miles per hour. Quite frankly, that can be more damaging than an EF0 or EF1 tornado, depending on location and all those things. But I just don't want folks to let their guard down if we just say, hey, it's just a thunderstorm warning and it's just a wind event, because there can still be considerable damage. Oftentimes, we can have power lines that are knocked down much easier in the straight line winds. We can have roofs and shingles that are affected by some of that straight line wind, especially, as I mentioned before, any of that yard art for the holidays, it could be impacted too. So we just want to make sure we kind of hunker down there. So now that that storm has been canceled in Hale County, we'll send it over to Sarah really quick. Give us just a quick update from the National Weather Service of any damage reports that are coming in and any of the warnings upcoming.
Ashley, so no more warnings. We just have the continued warning for the Chilton County storm and also the Coosa County storm. So currently no tornado warnings in effect. This has now become a damaging wind threat for really the southeasternmost tip of Chilton County. Most of Chilton County has been removed from the severe thunderstorm warning. The only places that are still under that warning are just south and east of Clanton here. And over into Coosa County, including Rockford. So those are the two warnings that we have in place right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings with wind speeds in excess of 60 miles per hour, and also some pretty frequent lightning and very heavy downpours there. So the tornado warnings for Calera, you guys are all in the clear now. Even Childersburg, this leading edge here with strong winds, is moving towards you, but no active warning for either Childersburg or Sylacauga. We are not going to see that tornado warning extend into Talladega County right now. It has been expired and we will not see that reissued as of right now. Still going to see some pretty strong winds track towards Sylacauga and right along Highway 280 right now, and also very heavy rainfall is going to start to pick up here. A lot of lightning too down through Chilton County into Coosa County and then back down towards Dallas County and towards the Montgomery area. This line is tracking through Selma and will continue to move into Autauga County, Elmore County, and into the Montgomery area. But for now, West Alabama, you guys are all clear. Severe weather threat is done. Along the I-65 corridor, we're now getting the worst of the weather has moved east. So this is now turning into an East Alabama situation where we have the current severe thunderstorm warnings in place for Coosa County and the southeastern tip of Chilton County right now. So even up towards Talladega and Anniston and Jacksonville, you guys are seeing heavy downpours, pockets of heavy rainfall, some lightning there, possibly even some gusty winds, but nothing severe right now, even though we do have that tornado watch that will extend into the remainder of the evening as these storms continue to track east. Frequent lightning up towards Cherokee County as well, but no severe weather there right now. Just south of I-20 is where the strongest winds are and where we do have the potential for severe weather that will continue into Tallapoosa County as we get closer to the Lake Martin area, and also possibly even towards Clay and Randolph counties and then continuing to track towards Georgia from there. So we're getting a break in West Alabama, but this is just starting in East Alabama. Jack and Sherry.
Sarah, thank you. Certainly a night of storms. You've seen the radar. We have some images of some of the damage that's been left behind.
We want to show you Lawrence County, the images coming into our newsroom from that location where 2 people are reported dead tonight, multiple injuries, surely damage to property as well. This is video out of Lawrence County where you see the law enforcement presence is already on the scene of places where some terrible things have happened as a result of this weather.
And we want to show you Decatur as well. They have had an awful lot of damage tonight. Lots of trees down, power lines down, homes damaged there. Really high winds in that area. Again, these are images from Decatur, pictures that were taken and that we've been able to share with you here on CBS 42.
A lot of this weather moved through the Black Belt, through western counties to the south of us as well, like Marengo County. Take a look at images now where we've learned of reports of injuries, 3 in fact, in Marengo County, and damage, of course. Look at the rain just pounding down. This is a look from earlier from our crew there, and that's an example of the lightning that swept through that area as well. So those are 3 areas that were impacted heavily by these storms.
And all areas. Hub Harvey with the Shelby County EMA told us earlier that he was talking with people there. He's back on the phone now. And Hub, thank you for joining us. We know that storm moved into Shelby County not too long ago, and you had some problems there in Montevallo.
Yes, and we appreciate you doing such a great job of helping us get the word out to the public. We have had some trees down and power lines down right now. We did have one vehicle that was kind of shoved off into a ditch, but it appears to have minor damage to the vehicle. At this time, we have no reports of injuries anywhere in Shelby County, and all the damage right now seems to be limited to that area around Highway 25 just south of Montevallo.
That is good news from the Shelby County EMA director. No injuries that you know of. You mentioned earlier how you guys will assist other areas. Where are you hearing the greatest need is at this point?
I have talked numerous times with Kirk Smith, who is the EMA director over in Bibb County, and as this storm came out of Bibb into Shelby County, they do have some damage over there, but I'm not familiar, I've not heard for sure of any injuries in the Bibb County area either, so we're very fortunate so far on that. But right now, we're combining our resources between Bibb and Shelby County in order for us to be able to go and help anyone who is in need right there along the county line at this time.
Are you hearing anything about power outages there in your area, Hub?
We have some minor power outages there around the south of the Montevallo area, but not extensive power outages at this time.
Hub, what does the rest of the night look like for you guys at this point? The weather, the tornado threat moving through your area. What's next for the coming hours for your EMA and for other counties?
Well, especially for Shelby County, we're going to be watching this very, very carefully. We will be out doing damage assessments, probably wait until first light to get out there and really get a good look. One thing that we are reaching out to is our neighbors to the east of us. With that tornado watch now being extended all the way to the Georgia line, we will be continuing to monitor throughout the night to see if they have any damage or any issues and how we can help them.
Particularly challenging, Hub, is the fact that these storms are happening at night. You make a good point that you guys will be assessing damage first light. For people who are living in these communities where these storms have come through tonight, what's your advice to them? Should they stay inside and wait until it's light and safe to go out?
Yes, if at all possible. If you don't have to get out, please don't get out tonight. Just if you've got a nice dry place to be, and tomorrow morning if it's a nice, dry, warm place to be, please just stay out of the area and let our first responders get out there and our highway crews get out there and clear whatever debris may be there. Let the power company get out and do their jobs as safely, efficiently, and effectively as possible. That's what we really ask of them.
Okay, Hub Harvey, Shelby County EMA, another point you made that it will be colder tomorrow, and so Birmingham's certainly one of the areas that has said they will have a warming station open tomorrow night.
That is a great point. Hub Harvey, thank you for your time tonight amid the busy night you've had, but the good news out of Shelby County, no injuries, minor damage reports, if any. All of it will be assessed first thing in the morning.
The storm's now moving to the eastern part of the state. The CBS 42 storm team is tracking that as people in the Jacksonville Central area are preparing for the storms to move through. They're under a tornado watch, Ashley?
Yes, that's correct. They are for tonight. And we're going to continue to track that. And there are several severe weather storm shelters that are going to be available throughout the evening as well across different parts of Alabama. I want to show you a quick tour of our Storm Team tower cams as we close up shop here in the Weather Center temporarily. Heavy rainfall in Gadsden, temperature still at 64, upper 60s in Anniston. Not seeing much there. Usually with this night sky, this camera is great because you can see the lightning. But right now, we're just not seeing a whole lot of that. It is beginning, the storm system is not producing as much lightning in Calhoun County as it is in, say, southern Shelby or now moving into Talladega County. Rainfall still persists in Hamilton right now and then over towards Tuscaloosa. It was a wet night, but we're actually beginning to see some of that rain move out, and look at the clouds left behind. Temperatures will remain in the mid-60s, but talking about that big cool down, I want to show you the numbers. Memphis, Tennessee has dropped in the last 24 hours 24 degrees. That literally means they've dropped a degree every hour, but it's been a lot more dramatic than that because that came in a much shorter window of time. Shreveport, they've dropped nearly 30 degrees. Jackson, 15 degrees in the last 24 hours, and that 15-degree drop likely came in the last 4 to 5 hours. So that's what's ahead for us. Get ready for it, folks. Brace yourself for some cold air. This storm system will continue to move off into East Alabama 1 o'clock this morning. What remains after 1 a.m. will just be rain. The severe weather threat will likely come to an end just after midnight tonight, and it will wash itself out. And Storm Team meteorologist Nate Harrington will continue tracking that early tomorrow morning for you. For us, the severe weather threat, again, is beginning to come to an end, but we're not going to give the all clear. We still have tornado watches in effect for all of East Alabama till 4 o'clock in the morning. For now, the tornado warnings have expired, and we're just looking at those severe thunderstorm warnings. So we'll kind of close up shop here on air. We'll send it back to programming, but stay tuned on air, online. Download our app to get current alerts and quick updates, and if we have any tornado warnings that come back, we will make sure to pop back on air and bring you the latest information regarding the severe weather. For now, from Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Ashley Gann, the entire team here at CBS 42, we will now send it back to regularly scheduled programming.
This has been a severe weather.